It's Sunday night.
Chunga 68.
We need a band.
Says Sunday night. Hey, UTG.
I gotta get a band
What's
going.
up, Chunga?
Chongo, what's happening, man?
Let's wait for everybody to come in.
Yeah, come on in. Everybody come in.
Everybody
on in.
come in.
It's okay. We generally mean you no harm.
Generally.
Come on. Come on.
Chris Greenaway is here. What's
Chris
up,
Greenaway,
Chris?
what's happening, brother man? So Kiwi was supposed to be with us tonight, and I got the unfortunate news that he's been turned into a newt.
So Fubar,
So
Andy,
he won't be here tonight.
Buff, Chris Freemesser, Doug Narden, Brett McIntyre,
Greetings all.
Ford LTD. Oh, this is a tough name.
Smith Jones. Ed
Skalivich.
Jones.
Ahoy.
Ahoy. Ahoy, mateys.
Baldo. Eric's Garage, Mitten Made Muscle, Moparman 1978, Dean Stevenson, Reggie Shuri, John Gregory, Peter Kovacs.
Look, I'm
Rob
rocking
Tripp,
back and forth like the insane. Did
Two
you notice that?
Hats. Yeah, please don't do that.
I can't help it.
Yeah, please don't do
Oh,
that.
until I get into the groove of things,
Oh my
you know, I'm
goodness.
a little like, you know, a tad.
Yeah, don't
no.
do that. Please don't rock back and forth. Need metal. What's up? What's going on with the Hemi Tsubishi?
I don't know. You see, Kiwi. That's all. It's all on Kiwi. I have no idea.
So Kiwi's supposed to be here, but
He got turned into a newt.
no, he has the flu.
Well, that's the excuse that he's given. That's what his publicist is.
publicist?
Yeah, his publicist is telling people he has the flu, but I happen to know for a fact that he's been turned into a newt.
What's up, Charlie? What's up, New Guys Garage?
Remember that thing I killed
What?
on the other side of the fence?
What? What'd you kill?
That thing that was all over the place? It's up in the tree.
The kudzu.
Kudzu.
Yeah.
Yeah, look up in the tree.
Where?
Halfway up the tree, to the left.
Oh yeah. You gotta get that.
I gotta get that.
Somebody's gotta get that.
Kill the
Kill the
kudzu.
kudzu. It's all over Tennessee.
That could be a YouTube channel, right?
No, not really.
Kudzu hunters.
Anything can be a YouTube channel. Look at us.
I'm sure it is. Everything is a YouTube channel.
What's up, Charles Healer?
My socks are inside out.
How is your back doing?
Much better.
He's better. He's
Much
a little
better.
Good. Let's see. Vega 660 says, "Hey Tony, what's your thoughts on the Motorcraft 2150 carb? Any good?"
No. Off the top of my, and I'm not saying it's not good, but off the top of my head, I really don't have any thoughts on it. I've never worked with them.
No.
No.
Okay. Kudzu, the vine that is taking back the South. Yeah.
Oh, no lie.
It's like sometimes if you're on the highway, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it'll cover miles.
Yeah, miles.
But we had it growing over here in the bush. Like you guys
Just
can't
like-
see it, but like there's a fence with like, you know, a row of like trees and whatnot behind it, and it was all over the place. So I found it all came from one area, and I just kept dousing it with gasoline, and it killed everything. But now it's
We have to find
up
out
in
where
a
that
tree
one
there.
is coming from.
I don't know, but it's crazy. It just appears poof right there, but there's nothing leading up to it. So I don't know. I'll find it. I'll kill
We'll
it. That's what I
find
do.
it.
It's a hobby of mine. It's how I relax.
Kill Kudzu.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Johnny C said, "Passion flower takes over too." Kudzu was one of the answers in the Jeopardy game on original Nintendo. Interesting.
Nice.
Nice. All right, I'm sure I'm missing lots of comments here. Tennessee Creature Scuttlebutt. Good evening. Let's see, Tony. Enjoyed your video about match racers back in the day, Two Hack says.
Thank you, man. Yeah, you were saying that you ran around with Mr. Norm. I found Mr. Norm. Did he ever tell you that story? Because Collison, when I started working for Superstock magazine, Collison had a list of he wanted me to do like historical pieces. He wanted me to do both like nitro pieces and historical pieces. So that's what I did for him. And he had a list of people that he wanted me to do stories on. And one of them was Mr. Norm. Everybody else had a contact, right? And they were easy to find. Mr. Norm had dropped completely off the radar, like after like 1975, 1977, whatever it was. And he was gone. So I actually had to be like a detective. This is like in the middle 1980s, 1990s, before there was like internet the way it is today. So I had to do some detective work, and I actually, I should get struck by lightning right now. I knocked on his door or rang his doorbell and introduced myself, and he had no idea who I was or where I was coming from or that he was even famous. He had no idea. He had walked away from the whole thing. It was all in his distant past. And I told him, I'm from Superstock magazine. He's like, they still do that? So he had no idea that he was famous at the time that I knocked on his door. And then we hung out for, I guess, the weekend, more or less. He took me to a really cool steakhouse there in Chicago. And we talked a lot. But yeah, I found Mr. Norm. He was done. I brought him back to life.
He gave you a tour of the building, right?
Oh yeah, okay, I was with, give me a second now. Who's the guy I was with? I was with, oh God, why can't I think of his name? Um, he had a blown nitro 65 Coronet, and his name is right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, um, he gave us a tour of the dealership, and it was exactly the way he had closed it. So this is in 1994 or 1995, I think it was, and
I think it was earlier than that.
no, it couldn't have been earlier than that.
You sure?
Yeah, it was probably 1983, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like it was earlier than that.
Well, Two Hacks actually has a copy of the magazine, so he could tell us when
Okay.
the magazine came out, and there should be pictures in there. So he had brought us to the old Mr. Norm's building. So what happened was it was a Dodge dealer, and then when the muscle car thing was done, 73, 74, they went into vans and van conversions and stuff like that, and then he was done. Right? He walked away. He was done. So the dealership had been like locked up from that point. So it was like a 20-year-old time capsule at the time. And we went in there, and it was like wood paneling on the walls and like shed carpets, and the desks were full of like the old the tags, the Mr. Norm's, like the rearview mirror tags, like work orders and stuff. And I grabbed a bunch of those and some stickers. They had a lot of the original stickers were there. And I gave them all away. I don't think I have anything left of that.
No, it's all gone.
All gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we went for a tour of the shop. So we went to the dealership. That was cool. And then we went to the garages, and it was all empty. It was like just a long empty bay, but there was a car under a cover. So we walked over to the car. He says, that's the Charger. I says, what Charger? Which Charger? He says, the funny car. I said, nah, right? So he pulled the cover off of it.
No.
Yeah. And it was the Charger. It was, and it exactly the way the car had been parked in like 1970, I think it was 71 was the last time they ran that thing, because they went to the Challenger right after that. And yeah, we took turns sitting in the car playing Gary Dyer, making funny car noises and stuff, shaking the car. We take turns. One of us sit in the car, the other one shake it, make funny car noises. And yeah, it was cool. It was really cool.
People are gonna think you're making that up. It's true.
If you think I'm
true.
making it up, well, Jeff has the Two Hacks has a copy of the magazine. So if you think I'm making any of this up, Jeff can back me up because it's all in the magazine story.
Crazy 77 says I like a Mr. Norm sticker. We don't have any more.
I don't have any more.
Two Hack says, Tony, the guy you were with was Brian Coleman.
Brian Coleman,
He did
yes.
the fire burnout poster.
Yes, I'm sorry, Brian. If you're watching this, Brian, I'm so sorry. This is what happens when you get old and a lot of like repeated head trauma. Because I've had a lot of head trauma. So
Probably from getting in that car and having people shake it for you.
Yeah. So
Okay, Blues and Corduroy sent you $10.
thank you, Blues.
Howdy y'all, my buddy Bobby Gallagher says hi. I think he used to see you rolling around Jersey back in y'all's day.
That's possible. I rolled all over New York and New
Bobby
Jersey
Gallagher. Do you know anybody named
Pennsylvania.
Bobby Gallagher?
Bob Gallagher. It
Thank
sounds
you, Blues
familiar.
and Corduroys.
It sounds familiar.
Well, he says hello. Hello, Bobby.
Hello, Bob.
You probably know him.
I probably do, but it's all that head trauma. I've had so much repeated head trauma over the years.
My head is hamburger meat. Still kicking.
No lie.
Love the lantern, Wheelie King says. We were just talking about how useful it is.
It's a cool old lantern, and like I was telling Kathy, if by some reason they have to divert the cannonball through our backyard, I can signal it. You know what I mean, right? You know, each of those movements has that's up and down, and then there's like side to
Why
side,
do you
and then
know
there's
these
around in a
things?
circle, right? Those are all railroad signals.
Why do you know railroad signals? Why do you know railroad signals?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I do.
What's what?
What?
What does the signals mean?
Move on.
No, I
Let's
need
talk-
to know
Let's talk about
why
cars.
you know railroad signals.
Let's talk about cars.
Oh my goodness. Peace on Earth says tall lantern flame is nice atmosphere and the mosquitoes hate it.
I'll make it taller for you, my brother.
Taller.
There you go.
It's gonna like really start smoking.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
The
we don't
glass
like
is
the
starting to
smoke.
get dirty. We gotta.
Yeah, we gotta clean that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Zappa3 says, Uncle Tony, what did you mean by you didn't need a trans brake because of drum?
Drum brakes hold the car stationary much more effectively than discs do. So a car with disc brakes, especially race disc brakes, because they have small contact area. Drag race disc brakes. Drum brakes will hold the car stationary, so you can power brake against it. But a disc brake car will tend to push through the brakes. So that's why there's lots of reasons why I like drum brakes.
This is not railroad signaling advice.
This is not railroad signaling advice.
Funny. It means help. Which one means help, Randy? The circle means help?
No, the circle is a switch. A switch open or close. I don't remember.
Do you remember Van Eiderstein speed shops?
Of course I do. We had one on Highland Boulevard, and then there was one on in New Jersey. The one in Jersey I'd only been to a couple of times. But the one on Staten Island, yeah, that was when I was a kid, like 16, 17, 18. That was like one of the places to go and hang out and try to absorb information from the older kids.
You mean steal information?
Steal information, yes.
Chris Greenaway says, UTG, I found a 1970s Sport Fury GT out in the wild, black and white vinyl top. Why are the sea bodies beautiful, but yet a land yacht at the same time with the 300H?
That's the paradox of the sea body, man. They're beautiful, but they're ginormous. Check the fifth digit of that 70 GT. You know, if it's a V, you've got, because they built a dozen of those things with 446 power, 17 of them. I don't remember the number, but they actually built a bunch of those, a handful of those, with 446 packs.
Somewhat fast says, how goes it, guys?
It's going.
How's it going, Tony?
It's going pretty damn good.
So you recovered from your back?
Yes, my back is as good as it's going to get for now.
For now.
For now.
Neutral drops are for kids.
Neutral drops are for kids. Of all ages.
Right. Where can I get a transmission for a 98 Mustang GT?
You have to find somebody who has one and then buy it from them.
Yeah, that's probably your best bet. Have you...
Well,
nothing. Have you ever had parts fall off your car or forgotten bolts?
of course.
Yeah. You leave bolts out of everything.
There's extra
Anything
bolts.
I see you put together,
There's always extra
bolts.
bolts, and I'm like, don't need that. No, seriously, if there are extraneous bolts in an assembly, I do on my own cars, not on other people's cars, but on my own cars. I'll always put the shortest bolt possible into it, and if there's extraneous ones, I leave them out.
Okay. Do oily rags actually spontaneously combust?
Not all
Some.
oily rags. Like motor oil rags will not spontaneously combust.
Linseed oil rags will.
Boiled linseed oil.
Yeah, when I was doing
Yeah.
painting, like you had to be really careful.
Yeah, those will
They
spontaneously
start fires
combust.
like out of the blue. Let's see. You guys' garage. I got the Mustang out the other day finally, and now there's snow again. I'm
Oh, geez, where do you
sorry.
live,
You should
man?
move. We don't have snow. It's a little chilly tonight, but it's okay.
It's
I'm
chilly,
dressed
yeah.
warm. We were debating go to the shop or do it outside.
Yeah, no, it's nice
We
out.
need a fire pit though.
We should
We
get a
need a
fire pit.
fire pit
Yeah.
for nights like this. Um, Vincent Caruso says, "Do you recall Mike Urcoli? Urcioli? I'm not sure how you say that. Urcioli?
Is that Drunken Mike?
I don't know.
Is that Drunk Mike you're talking about?
Trunk Mike?
Drunk Mike.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, you do.
I do?
Yeah.
I'm bad with names.
He cleaned me out one night.
Huh?
I raced him over on what was it, South Avenue.
What kind of car do you drive?
He had a what was it? It was a Duster. It was a small block Duster. And I bet him like everything we had. Like I had like $175 to my name, and I lost it.
I try to forget things like that.
I don't think you were there, and I don't think I told you about it.
What's up, degenerates?
But it's okay because it's like 35 years later.
No, if it was
the statute
35
of
years
limitations
ago,
has run out.
the only way I wouldn't be there is if it was during the time that, Anthony was a baby.
Oh yeah, this was after.
It was after?
Yeah.
Okay. Because then I wasn't able to come out all the time.
Right.
I was
No,
busy.
you weren't there. You definitely weren't there.
It's okay. Let's see. Let me see if he answered that. Was he drunk though?
Well, he was always drunk. That's why he got the name Drunk Mike. And he had an unusual last name, and that might be it.
It was hard to pronounce, and I'm pretty good at pronouncing stuff. Let's see. Why does everyone on YouTube doing a revival freak out over a Fram filter? I've used Fram since the 80s. I've never had a problem. Oh, I guess people doing revivals are upset because there's a Fram filter. Is that what's going on?
I don't know anything about that. I honestly don't. I know the Fram filters have gotten a bad rap, but I don't know why exactly. See, because this is how I am, right? I just don't care. All right, if I didn't have to have a freaking oil filter, I wouldn't bother having one. But unfortunately, you got to screw one into everything, right? So So a bad filter is only as inefficient as the bypass would be. Does that make any sense? So in other words, okay, you get on it, okay, so you're on it, and your oil pressure spikes. That oil is not getting forced through the elements of the filter. That oil is going through the bypass, right? Because at the bottom, if you take an oil filter apart, okay, take an oil filter apart, and you take the center of it out, the center of it is like corrugated like cardboard.
And they're saying cheaper construction and materials in the Fram.
Right, but the bypass, so you cut the top of the filter off and you take the center of it out and you got that element there. But at the bottom of the element is a bypass. So it's a trap door. It's like a sprung trap door. So when you get on it, let's just say, right, nothing goes through the element. It all gets passed through the bypass. So that if you're dealing with a high performance car and you're concerned with the oil filtration at, let's say, high RPM, forget it. It's not getting filtered. That's what the bypass is there for. The only time the oil gets filtered is at low speeds and low pressures. So there's not a lot of volume, and it's allowed to get pushed through the element. Does that make any sense?
Are you okay?
I'm better than okay.
Do you have Kiwi's flu?
Kiwi got turned into a newt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kiwi's not here this evening because he has the flu. So he'll be here eventually, once he's better. Uh, Tony, you do realize it's dirt bike season, right?
I do, and I don't have a dirt bike. My brother Ralph
You
was
do
just
have a
here.
dirt bike.
Where?
Who's the dirt bike that you bought?
I sold it. Ron sold it.
What are you talking about? The green one?
Yeah. That's been gone for like a month and a half, 2 months now.
Why did you sell that?
Try to simplify.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm serious.
Oh my goodness.
It needed work.
You're
And I'm
driving me
like,
crazy.
no, I have to devote my time. I got to get started on this thing over here. I got to devote my time on things that are more relevant to the channel.
Yeah, but you need a break too. You need a mental break. So you should have kept that bike to go in the woods behind the kid's house and like put your head.
But that's why I bought that second mini bike
Oh,
to
brother.
go trail riding with.
Yeah, but you love that bike. You were like, oh, on any Sunday.
I know. But
Why did you sell that?
because
Willie
realistically,
King says, now I'm sad. I'm sad too, Willie King. I didn't know he sold that.
the
Oh,
odds of
my
me actually
goodness.
getting to go out and use that thing are slim to none. It's just not going to happen.
You said to start hoarding, Steve B says.
Yeah, start hoarding certain things and get rid of things that you're not going to use or things that don't really have a purpose. That bike needed love. It needed me to take the whole thing apart and go through it all and put it back together
Joe
again.
Brennan
And
is
I
yelling
do
at you.
not
Why
have.
did you sell that? I agree with Joe Brennan. I really think that you should not have sold that bike. Of all the things. Kathy almost fell off it, and now it's gone. It's just gone. No, I didn't try and ride that. It was a nice bike. I'm unsubscribing 14 times.
No, seriously,
People are upset.
I'm trying to streamline.
Oh, I'm really disappointed in you that you got rid of that.
Sweetheart, I never would have gotten around to doing it. It just isn't going to happen. I'm one person with only
I
so
know
many
you
hours
are.
in the
I
day.
understand, but you could have just run it the way it was, eh?
Well, that's the other thing. I
You could have
don't,
run it the way it was.
but I don't have any local dirt bike friends.
You could
I
have
would have to
made
go,
them if
but
you.
I have to go out and make them first. If I do make local dirt bike friends, I'll get another dirt bike. It's not like you
How
know.
could you make dirt bike friends without a dirt bike? That doesn't even make sense.
Next,
Tony. Joe Brennan says, I subscribed again just so that I could unsubscribe.
I'm sorry to let you guys down.
I'm let down.
No, I did love the bike, but I'm telling you, I don't have the time or the inclination to do the things that I need to do. This channel is a
It takes us a lot of
full-time
work.
business. You don't understand how
It's
much
a lot of
time and
work.
energy this thing takes.
I was in the shop today. We were in the shop shooting, and
Yeah.
I'm just looking around, and like I look and I see all the things that need to be done, and then I come to the house and I see all the things that need to be done, and I'm like, just like we're two people. Like, there's only so much we can do with so many things. Like,
Right.
we have a lot to take care of.
And that's why I'm trying to simplify.
Yeah, we gotta simplify.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's the reason I got rid of that 61 too. You know, the 61 needed to be gone for, and I just don't have the time.
You guys know what it's like, taking care of everything.
You know, here's the thing, right? When I get involved in something, whatever it happens to be, I have to
First
look at.
Fluxy, now this.
No, Fluxy died, and then I replaced Fluxy. No, you understand. I have limited time, limited resources.
What's up, Tavo Garage?
So when I look at a project, I have to weigh what is its content value for this channel. What can I use this for on this channel? So what I'll do is I'll float it out. And if it gets a really good response, I keep going with it. And if it doesn't get a good response, I know that it's a dead end. Stop and do something that people, the vast majority of people are interested in. I don't know that unless I throw different ideas out. So the dirt bike is something I really wanted.
Yeah.
I got it. And then once I got it, I says, all right, do I have the time, the inclination, the ability to use this thing? Is there enough interest on my channel?
That's one of the problems too. There's not a lot of motorcycle interest.
Right. If there's not a lot of interest in a particular topic, I have no choice but to move on to something else because this is what we do. This is what we do.
Yeah, there's only so much of you to go around, but you should have used that like as a break,
That's
just for
okay.
yourself, you know.
That's right. I took the girls out for a ride on a mini bike this morning. They will love it. Well, Allison was loving it. So I think that'll be more fun from a family type of thing. I mean, honestly, if I go out and I do anything like activity like that, I want to do stuff that I can include my granddaughters in.
Rob D says, greetings from your old stomping grounds in Long Island, New York City.
What's
He's
happening,
from
man?
Long Island.
Long Island, Deer Park.
What's up, Franco? Franco says,
Franco, what's happening, man?
Tony, I watched today's GTX video, satellite. What you did with the plug wires is exactly what cost us the Mid-Atlantic Regionals in the Plymouth troubleshooting contest. That's funny.
I was channeling you, man.
And somebody asked, I saw in the comments on the video, like right before I put this on, like if you're gonna leave the wires like that, is that a problem for anybody else that's working on the car?
No, not at all.
No? Okay. Let's see. Shout out about the 4.0 status.
It's just sitting there right now. It's just sitting there. I'll get back to it.
Ralph Solantano says, I suspect this is actually some kind of UTG chatbot AI. Possibly.
Ralph just brought me the picture. Should I show him the picture?
If you want to, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you gonna go get it?
I got it.
Tony's gonna go get
Yeah.
a gift that Ralph just brought over. He was at the track with us. Chat UTG, yeah.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yeah, you can see it.
Can you see the gap?
Yeah. Yeah, Ralph brought that to us. It's a really nice gift.
Yeah, Ralph just brought me that about an hour ago.
It's very cool.
I'll leave this right here.
You don't don't block the
Well,
lantern.
just in case Andy pops on.
Oh, he was on. You
Oh, he
can
was?
Put it in the other corner.
Okay, I'll put it in this corner.
Tilt it a little bit. Yeah, perfect.
There you go, okay.
There's no glare on it now.
Yeah. Can you see the gap?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty clear.
Maggie, you want
We
coffee?
love you, Andy. Okay.
Oh, wait, if Andy wants a copy of this, I'll get it for him.
Would you sign it for him?
Of course,
Of
Andy.
course.
Andy, if you want a copy of this picture, I'll get it for you, bro.
Oh,
I would do that for you. I would do that for you. I have a few extra dollars now. I can afford that.
Yeah. Signed copy, yeah. Fake news, laugh out loud, yeah. Nothing like rubbing it in.
No, I'm rubbing in. No.
No, we're gracious winners, right?
Yes,
Andy Schobel says, yes, please, I would love one. He wants a signed copy.
you got it.
Andy's not chiming in yet. He must not be on right now. Too funny. Let's see. You should sell signed copies and probably buy one. Candy Manification sent you $20.
Thank you.
Breakfast at McDonald's for you all.
Yeah, I can buy
Thank
like
you,
like
Handy.
a sausage muffin and a
No,
hash
you
brown
can
with
buy
that.
a lot with that. Thank
No,
you so
thank you.
much,
I
Handy.
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate that. Breakfast tomorrow morning, Tony?
You got it.
Okay. Thank you. That's really nice. Avert your cameras. It's too late. It's just too late.
It's too late.
I hope you win a signed copy, please. 0 cents. Andy just threw his phone through a wall. Okay, let's stop being jerks. Let's see. The other day, I clicked on your latest video, and it popped up, and this channel has no content. What? Weird. That's weird.
Maybe YouTube just got tired of us.
I clicked on the latest video, and it popped up, and this channel has no content. That's weird. Well, we have a lot of impersonators.
Yeah, there we have several
Oh, it's
several
been really
clone
bad
channels.
lately. It's been really bad.
Yeah.
Like if you find a clone channel, report it. They're using our logo, and it'll say like at Uncle Tony's Garage like 82. We're
Yeah.
just at Uncle Tony's garage. That's it. But
Right.
like they'll add numbers to the end of it, and it's like almost every day I'm blocking channels that are impersonating us. So maybe it was that. Yeah, if you see something that's like that, report it. Yeah, I report them. But you know, sometimes I just get tired of reporting them because I have other things to do. So I'll just block them and like I'll leave it to someone else to report them. It's too much. It's overwhelming. I
It's a
can't spend all
lot.
day reporting like scam channels. Um, there was one channel that it was Uncle Tony's Garage Archives that did take a lot of our videos, our live videos. They would download our lives
Okay.
and they would upload them to Uncle Tony's Garage Archives.
See, I'm not aware of any of this stuff.
Yeah, and I had to, unfortunately, I had to report them because they had a lot of videos up and it wasn't us. So stay real, keep to the original Uncle Tony's Garage. I should change our logo just to screw them up.
Go ahead.
What should we make it now?
I don't like a blender or something.
A blender.
Yeah, just yeah.
You'd like to see some of those old lives again? Oh.
We have them all. We don't delete them.
Yeah, we have them.
Hey. We up until very recently we would leave a live up for like 24 hours or so, and now the last few lives we just been leaving them up. So we'll probably leave this one up too.
Tom Fry says, the other day I clicked onto your channel and it said this channel had no content. Then it finally popped up. Laughed my ass off. I have no idea.
I mean, YouTube does glitch occasionally.
Yeah. Let's see. Come on. Weisenbach sent you $5.
Thank you.
What happened to the old Bottle Rocket videos of when Tony was first building the car?
We took them all down. We had a falling out with Lamb Chop. It got really weird, and I was like, you know what? Let's just. So we deleted all of those videos.
Mm-hmm. But it's okay because you've done so much different to the car since then.
Yeah, it's really not the same. The only thing that's the same about
relevant.
the car is the car itself, but pretty much everything else has evolved from that point. So everything, all the important aspects of the car are documented currently.
Hey Tony, what are your thoughts on the Mercedes turbo diesel cars from the 80s?
I don't know anything. I mean, I never worked on any of them. I don't really recall having any experiences with them. I don't know.
J. Russell Finch, thinking of starting a new channel, UTG Live beyond 24 hours. We only leave them up 24 hours because they're
topical.
Yeah, they're
like,
timely.
They're timely. It's like this is a conversation that we're having now, and it doesn't really
Pertain
make
to
sense to me to
anything
have it
else.
up like 3 years from now. It's like how what's the context of the conversation that we're having right now? So that's why we tend to just leave them up for like 24 hours and then take them down. But we had so many people who were like, oh, you took it down before I could watch it. So the last few we have left up, and we'll probably leave them up.
Yeah. Let's see. What happened to the UTG salad making video? It's up there. It's not on this channel. It's on the other channel. Will we change the name of it? What's the name of it?
I don't remember. Better Garages and Gardens.
Yeah, Better Garages and Gardens. Like, we haven't really paid attention to that channel. Jonathan Couchy sent you $10.
Thank you, John.
Hi, Tony. I plan on one day creating a stroker 3.6 Pentastar to 4.0. They changed the rod bearings from 2.332 to 1.88 in 2015. 1.88 is the same as Mitsubishi 4-cylinder.
Okay.
Offset stroke and overbore sleeve.
I don't know enough about the engines to give you an educated opinion on that. I just don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Aww. Oh my goodness, MLG 1969 sent you $100.
Oh, why?
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 Why MLG? I live in Maine, and the weather is great 4 months of the year. I'm so jealous of the weather down there.
Come on
Well, for
down.
that $100, we can give you a room for a couple of nights.
Yeah, come on down.
We'll do a B&B, Airbnb for you. You can
Thank,
stay in the shop.
thank you so much. We really
We
appreciate that.
really appreciate that. I love Maine.
Do you? I'm not
If
crazy
I could
about.
live anywhere else, I would live in Maine.
Really?
I love Maine.
But it's only nice 4 months out of the year. The rest of the time, it's like
I know,
it's like
but
a
it's
miserable
so beautiful.
for 4 months, and then the rest of the time, it's like you're frozen in your house.
I know.
It's gloomy.
It's gorgeous though.
Oh, jeez.
The Rocky Ocean.
So tomorrow,
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
we're going to take the convertible for a ride
Uh-huh.
because we got to road test it, and I want to show off some of what better way to show off some of our scenery,
Oh yeah, we can do that.
right?
We never do that.
I know
Are we
just the
gonna play
roads to take
music?
too. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'll bring a
Gonna play
harmonica.
music?
Maybe I'll bring a harmonica. Um,
A kazoo.
I think what we need to do is something completely different and just take a cruise in that car
Yeah.
and show off some of our scenery.
Okay. That was so sweet of MLG.
Thank you, MLG. We really
We
appreciate
really, really appreciate that.
that. Believe me, all of the super chat money goes to very good use.
No. What are you gonna spend everything on now? What parts do you have to buy?
I was gonna get a pedicure.
Are
You
gonna
know.
get a pedicure?
Yeah, yeah. It's one of my dreams.
Is it?
Yeah, that and a bikini wax.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Tony, that's bad. It's really bad. Oh man. Let's see. Living here in the Northeast makes you appreciate the 3 to 5 really nice days per year that we have. Oh come on. That's not true.
I don't know how anybody exists in the Northeast. I mean, listen, it's not like I'm knocking something that I'm not familiar with. I lived there for the first 40 years of my
Did
life.
you go to Maine? Have you been to Maine?
Of course I've been to Maine.
Have you been to the coast of Maine?
No,
It's so beautiful.
no. Been to the coast in Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's beautiful too.
Been to the coast in Rhode Island,
Very nice.
but no, never in Maine. But it's all the same. It's
It's all the same.
if
It has snow.
if you walk out to the waterline in Maine and you walk out to the waterline in South Carolina, it's exactly the same thing. You're looking at and seeing
No,
exactly
it's not.
the
It's
same.
different.
No, it's not.
No, Maine has a lot of rocks on its coast.
I'm saying if you're standing out looking at the
Completely
water,
different. No, it's totally different. Totally different coastlines. What are you talking about?
it's the same ocean.
Yeah, it's the same ocean, but it's different. Maine has the longest coastline in America. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, and I still don't want to be there.
Oh my goodness. I think we need to go on vacation. We can go to Maine.
What did we do today?
Do you know that Maine has the what is it? The duck of justice? What is that?
The what?
The duck in Bangor, Maine.
Yeah,
They have the duck of justice.
I didn't know that.
You don't know that?
Justice Duck?
Yeah.
No,
You go to the police department and you go and see the duck.
I didn't know that.
MLG knows about it. Eric's Garage sent $5.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. The duck, the justice duck. Yes. Hey, Tony and Kathy. Appreciate y'all. What are your thoughts on Ford 352 FE? Reverse pistons, and how's the Autolite 4100?
4100 is a good carburetor. I like the Summit version of it a lot. The 352, the problem with the 352 is the same with all small bore engines. It's just breathing, because it's all about. I mean, the thing with bore is not so much the power you get through the bore, but the ability to effectively use larger valves with a bigger bore. And the 352 just has a very small bore. But it's a great cruiser motor. I mean, unless you're gonna throw like nitrous at it or turbocharge it, which are both really good things you could do to that engine. If you're just going for NA power, it's not a good choice. But it is a good cruiser. Uh-oh, what are you doing?
What? Here, I'm going to show you.
What are you going to show? The duck?
Yeah. The duck of justice.
Oh, okay. We could have that here.
The duck of justice. It exists.
I think we should suggest that to the city council here.
Yeah, you think so?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We can use a goat.
California's coastline is longer than Maine's, Kathy.
Well, California has a huge coastline.
It's pretty huge.
400 miles, 450 miles of coastline.
Well,
yes, how would Maine have a larger...
I don't know. That's what a comment said, that Maine has the longest coastline in America. So
no,
I read
maybe
it.
the longest coastline on the east. No, because Florida has coastlines up the wazoo.
Look,
Florida is
people,
nothing but coastlines.
I'm just reading comments.
Yeah, you see, like I took that for granted. It's like, okay, well, Maine has the longest coastline, but then you stop and you think about it. No, that's ridiculous. Florida is all coastline. The whole freaking state is coastline, and then California is crazy coastline. So yeah, no, Maine does not have the longest coastline.
It's probably pretty long. I'm just going to argue it just because.
Well, what is possible? I don't.
The indentation.
Exactly. I was just
Right.
thinking that possibly it might do enough of this that it. But yeah. I don't know.
What does Uncle Tony think of the World Economic Forum?
The WEF? Oh, I love the WEF.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
Me and Klaus are like this. Are you kidding me? Oh,
Oh my goodness. Funny conversation tonight. Oh, let's see. Lake of the Ozarks has more shoreline than California.
Probably. Then it's got to be because it goes like this. But A to B, it doesn't. Think about it that way, right? So A to B, I'm sure it doesn't. Florida's got to have.
Yes, Brett. Woo.
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 Hello, humans. Hello, humans.
Let's see.
It's my favorite guy. Absolutely, hands down,
Florida.
my favorite guy.
Let's see. Alaska. Everybody's arguing about who has the longest coastline. Maine is the fourth longest. Alaska, Florida, Louisiana, Maine. Interesting. Louisiana has
California isn't in that mix.
more. Alaska, Florida, Louisiana, Maine. Somebody just said. I have no idea. I guess.
Okay, well, Alaska, I could
Get
see
down,
Alaska.
Darla. Get down, Darla. Oh,
That would make
good
sense.
girl.
But and then Florida, yeah, Florida is kind of a no-brainer. I'm surprised California isn't in that mix.
California's fifth. All right, how about an update on the ultimate build?
Ultimate build.
I don't know which one is that.
The ultimate build. We're running into problems concerning science.
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 Oh, interesting. Let's see. Oldsmobile? Just Oldsmobile with a question mark.
Buick.
Let's see. 318 cubic inches. It's called fractals. Yes, it is. Fractals.
Yes.
The smallest increment you measure, the longer it gets.
Darla, get out of the garden.
There's fractals everywhere.
Darla,
What is she in?
she's in the garden.
Get out of the garden. Let's go. Let's go.
Good girl. Good girl.
She can jump when she wants to.
Yeah, she can.
Fatty.
She's gonna break a hip jumping like that. Darla, come here, sweetheart.
I'm going to break a hip watching her jump like
Come
that.
here. I don't want to yell at you. You're a good girl. You're such a good girl. I know.
Let's see. Otto says, Tony, did anything surprise you about Bottle Rocket, or did you expect every aspect of performance?
There's nothing surprising. I mean, it's kind of like people look at that car and they're like, "Oh, how is that going to work? Oh, that can't work." No, I mean, there's
You're stupid.
please. There's nothing special about the car. What surprised me was how off I was on the setup with tire pressure and with the air shock. That's the only thing that surprised me, because the car should have been 0.2 quicker in the Oh, okay. What surprised me was the shutter. I thought it was the transmission. Because what happened was I shifted, launched the car, it came down, and it started to come back up again, and I says, "Oop, now time to shift." And when I shifted, it shuddered, and I thought that it was in the transmission, but it was actually the tires. So that's about the only thing that's surprising about it. But we lost a good 2/10 on the starting line.
Bottle Rocket's still a work in progress and probably always will be.
Always will be.
Tava Garage
Always will
says.
be. I'm going to keep that motor in it for a while. I like that motor.
Yeah.
Um, I have a good motor for it. I got a motor that should make some real power. That's sitting on the stands, but I'm going to keep the one that's in there now. And I want to start 60. I really got to get the 60 foot because the motor won't make any top end power. The whole thing is designed for this. Okay, the setup that's in Bottle Rocket right now is specifically an eighth mile deal. I put it together to race Casper in the eighth. So it it'll give its all. Everything on that car is to give its all in that first 600 feet. The other motor will make top end power. I don't think it'll sacrifice bottom end power too much, but the other motor will make top end power. So what I want to do is while I have this engine in the car, I want to work on the car's 60s. I got to get that down. I don't want to say how quick I think it'll go in the 60, but let's just say much quicker than the 169 that we got on that one run.
Matta says, I couldn't get over the mopper behind Bottle Rocket. I still can't get over that.
The mop guys at that track are the most dedicated humans on the planet. It doesn't matter what you do. They're right there with a mop. I mean, he was mopping behind the tire.
Yeah, I
Like,
saw that.
I don't even know what could have possibly
I
hit
don't know.
the track behind the tire. I could see maybe a drip of water, a drip of oil, but no, he was mopping behind the tire. What the hell was he mopping? I don't know. Only he knows. But he's dedicated. He's dedicated.
All I know is I was panicking trying to get a good shot, and there's this guy walking behind the car, and I'm like, oh my God.
To be fair, we didn't tell them at the track what we were doing.
No.
Like typically when you do something like that, especially if you're going to shoot it for like YouTube, you'll tell the guys at the track, listen, we're going to race and we need to film from here or there, and there's never a problem. It's the tracks
They're
are
very
always
nice.
welcoming for that sort of thing. But to be fair, we didn't tell anybody at the track what we were doing. We were just a pair of cars that rolled up and went, as far as they were concerned. So that's why the guy with the mop was like, okay, well, let me do my mop job. You know what I mean?
Brandon Beers sent you $4.99.
Thank you, Brandon.
1989 K5 Blazer. Factory 2.73 gears. 383 stroker with NV 3500 trans. What gear set would you recommend? I'm up in the air between 3.73 and 410.
Depends on your tire size, man. Everything
Is this
just
the
depends.
person you talked to today?
Is it?
I don't
What's his
know.
name?
Brandon.
No, it's Trent.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. There's two factors. I can't recommend a gear ratio for you, but I can tell you what you have to consider. Consider the diameter, the overall diameter of the tire, and the use of the vehicle. So, I mean, are you setting this thing up for hardcore trail riding and rock crawling and stuff like that, where you need a really deep gear, or are you going to travel with this? Is how tall is the tire? I'm the wrong person to ask for a gear ratio recommendation for that particular truck.
Showed idea. The photo was said mop guy.
What was that?
Zero says shirt idea. The photo with mop guy.
Or just mop guy?
Just mop guy.
I bet you he was surprised seeing
what?
himself on YouTube.
You think he saw the video?
You don't think somebody at the track saw the video and said, "Hey,
I don't know.
look at"?
You think so?
Had to be.
Yeah.
It's got like 170,000 views.
Mop guy shirt. Yeah. Mop guy. That's random. Would you walk around with a shirt with mop guy on it? I mean,
You know what? See, that's the kind of thing that goes.
right, because it's so random.
The true backbone of drag racing. Mop guy.
Mop guy. The mopper definitely got a promotion that day. Mop guy for president.
He'd probably do a better job than a lot of the potatoes that we've had.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. He was going to town with that mop. Yeah.
Dedicated, absolutely dedicated.
We walk around with UTG on our shirts, laugh out loud. You do. And we really
We
appreciate
do
that. You have
appreciate
no
that.
idea. We really appreciate that. Mop guy on speed. Mop guy because a celebrity. Becomes a celebrity overnight, yeah. It's funny. A man committed to his work is something to admire.
This is true.
Yep. Let's see. What happened to Parts Automotive Warehouse?
They went tits up. God, 25 years ago. PAW.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. He didn't choose the mop. The mop chose him.
The mop chose him. This is true.
Joe Brennan, you're funny. He's the thumbnail. Now famous. He should be paying y'all. Too funny. PAW had cool stickers. Who mops when the mop guy races? I don't know, Peter Kovacs.
See, that's a question for Cliff Hyde.
Yeah, right. Maid Muscle says, "Can we get some Uncle Tony is a friend of mine bumper stickers?" Uncle Tony is a friend of mine. It's funny. Nobody cared who I was until I picked up the mob.
I hope he's watching this.
Probably not.
If any of you guys know the mop guy at Buffalo Valley, make sure he sees this.
Does UTG use any bumper stickers? Kathy, do that. What, Zero? What do you want me to do? Let's see. Starting a Facebook fan club for Mop Boy. Make a Mop Guy t-shirt. I will buy one. Who's gonna buy a Mop Guy t-shirt?
Don't ever underestimate the power of obscurity.
This is true. How about Uncle Tony built my car a bumper sticker?
It'll fall off.
It'll break.
It'll fall. We can make bumper stickers that just fall off.
Yeah. Bad glue.
It'll fall off and oil the track.
Mop guy, mop everything, mop anything. Oh man.
Can we
Charles
do that?
Hess came up with that.
Can we invent a bumper sticker that falls off and oils the track?
I don't know. I'm sure we could come up with something. Okay. Shane Fazzino. I hope I said that right, Shane. Sent you $4.99.
Thank you, Shane.
Opinions on the 73 Dart Swinger. I'm building a 1985 360 LA for it. With a 1968 833 4-speed.
Okay.
8 3/4 rear. Any advice or opinions?
I mean, it's the same as any other A body. There's really not a whole bunch to do to it. I mean, they're good cars. Follow all of the suspension stuff that we've done on Bottle Rocket because it'll work exactly the same on that car. What happened? You all right?
Yeah, I'm laughing.
Oh.
And what are the comments? Go ahead, keep going.
I thought you were puking.
No. I'm trying not to laugh. Go ahead.
Follow all the stuff that we did on Bottle Rocket for that Dart, and it'll work exactly the same. The only thing I can tell you is you got those heavy door guards. You got 20 pounds of steel in each door, so cut those out. Other than that, no, they're good. They're good cars.
Okay. Joe K. It's not how fast you mop; it's how you mop fast.
This is true. I hope Mop Guy is watching this.
Oh man, too funny. Tony's laughing like an Italian mobster about to kill someone. Oh, it's too funny. Joey's laughing. Let's see. I need a UTG Mop Guy bumper sticker to go with my Larry Flint for President bumper sticker. CCE says. Oh man. I'm not puking. No.
I thought you were
Rev Randall,
puking.
no.
You were making that face.
I was laughing into my hand, trying not to make noise. Oh man. Let's see. I bet Mop Guy had no clue how good he was at mopping. Probably not.
No, he does now, though.
No. Do you think he does? He probably doesn't.
Yeah, he's got a
Probably
picture
doesn't know
on his
anything
mantle of that child.
He does not.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
I mopped that run.
His father was a mopper. His father was a mopper? His mother was a mopper too? What? Oh man. Too much. So I don't know what Zero wanted me to do. He didn't answer, or maybe I missed it because I was busy laughing at other things. Nathan's Mopar Garage says, Dakota, I'm invisible today. Are you invisible? You're not. I see you. Let's see. Benjamin C., the mop boss.
Well, maybe.
Uncle Tony, mopping up the competition. Jim Urkovitz says. No substitute for cubic moppers. Dr. Bob's nightmare. Let's see. When are you going to take out Slag Hammer again? Nathan McCree wants to know.
I still have to get that converter within the next couple of weeks. Within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah? Next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Do we have, like, places we're taking the cars to?
I don't know yet. We're taking everything every place,
but
I don't know where it is.
The weeks fly by so quickly. I'm like, what's going on?
It's crazy.
Where am I? Who am I? Let's see. Next race soon. What's the next race?
I don't have any races.
We don't have any races.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Zero says, Kathy, the Uncle Tony is a friend of mine idea. That's great. The bumper sticker that leaks oil.
And first it has to fall off.
Okay.
And then it has to just spread oil everywhere.
How are you going to do that?
I don't know. It's science.
Science?
Yes.
Nathan McCree says, I love Bottle Rocket. That's nice.
I do too.
Let's see. Didn't see who said that. I know. I'm going to have to go back in the chat and look. I think it was Mitten Made Muscle started that. Will Tony race SRC? Who's SRC?
Oh, they clean my clock. Those guys are Street Racing Channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother league.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother
different.
league. Those guys are out there. Those guys raced. I mean, they're out there racing.
You could build something to do that.
If
you wanted
all
to.
I wanted to do was race, yeah, I'd go out
Yeah.
there and I would give them a run. But no.
You don't want to.
I don't want to.
That's fine. You have to. If you don't want to.
Yeah.
You have to want to do stuff like that.
Well, it would take incredible dedication. They have a channel. See here, okay, this is how this works, right? Their channel, the Street Race channel, and was the Old Man's Garage, and there's one or two others. That's what they do on their channel, So it's easy for them. And I don't want to say it's easy for them. It's good for them to focus on what they do. They do that one thing. They go out and they race, and that's awesome, and they're really good at it.
And it's convenient for them where they're located.
And it's convenient for them where they're located
we don't
too.
have that.
They have the right circle of people around them. Our channel, on the other hand, we don't get those kind of views. We get the most subs when we do like obscure Hemikuda history, or that's where so it's different audiences. And I can't devote the time. I don't want to devote the time to racing at the level that those guys do. So we just stay.
We have to travel for that because we don't have that kind of scene around us.
Exactly.
That's one of the major problems. I think that if it was happening close to us, that might be a different story.
That would be a different story.
But it's not going on anywhere near us.
Yeah.
Like we'd have to go to the Carolinas or Ohio or all of these other places.
Yeah, there are channels who racing is what they do. They do a really good job at it. That whole crew of the Hodgkins, they seem like I've never met them. I've never talked to them. We're friends on Facebook, but I don't go on Facebook. But they do a great job, and we're not in that. We're not in that. So.
Yeah. Let's see. Can you remind these of Smokey Eunuch?
What's Smokey Eunuch?
I don't know. Remind? Catherine Elmore wants to know, Tony, do your dogs like instant or drip coffee?
Well, Maggie's really the only coffee drinker, and she likes drip.
Yeah, we make drip coffee.
Yeah.
Let's see. Had the same car for almost 30 years. A 69 GTX, BDT says. That's awesome. How about a bumper sticker saying, I mop for Uncle Tony?
I mop, therefore I am.
Let's see. Parts Cannon was here. Chock full of nuts, or does the dog like French roast?
New York roast.
Dog roast. We do dog roast. Yeah.
And she likes it all. She doesn't care. She's not a coffee snob. Maggie just likes any coffee.
Pan away? No, Peter, I'm too tired. I'm too tired to pan away. Yeah, he's doing it behind the
I'm doing it behind
picture.
the picture of the gap.
Of the gap.
Yeah.
See, Andy's not on here. He's not seeing this. Or he saw it and he decided to leave.
He decided we're not friends anymore.
We're not friends anymore. I mean, really, it's horrible for us to do that.
He'll get even.
Photoshop picture, yeah, Mexican spec. Photoshop.
He'll get even.
Nope, not photoshopped. Poor Andy, yes.
Now, somebody asked me before. Somebody asked before if I was surprised. Anything surprised me about the bottle rocket thing.
Yeah.
Here's what surprised me about the whole. All right. I called the conditions of the race. I said that. So when we originally set this up, right? I knew that Casper has many distinct advantages over me, and I know that Andy, as a driver, has advantages over me because he's out there all the time. He races all the time. I don't. I'm not a racer, right? So I was betting on that truck breaking traction. I was betting on him spinning through first or having to pedal it. That's why I wanted to run on a cold track without any practice. So this way he wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Like there's no way for him to anticipate what the truck's going to do. And I said to myself, small tire, cold track, 700 horsepower, heavy truck, pickup truck, no weight in the back. He's got a good chance of spinning the tires. And if he's spinning the tires, I can move on him. And it was the exact opposite. We spun the tires. And he had converter problems. But that to me was the only really surprising aspect of that whole race.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to spin the tires.
You were.
Yes.
Interesting. And some people think 318s suck. Lots of people.
They're wrong.
Spinning ain't winning. Bob Bump, Uncle Tony, best grippy DOT tires in 31-inch, drive pavement, no cornering, straight line, drag your ass for 20 feet application.
I could not make an accurate. Okay, a lot of that is going to depend on your car, the weight of your car, the suspension that you have, the type of suspension that you've got, the way your engine applies power, the way your driveline applies power to it. There are so many variables to pick what the best tire would be. Um, you need to ask that question of somebody who is familiar specifically with your car, your type of car. And I would call around to the different tire manufacturers, honestly, because they're each going to make a recommendation, and then based on those recommendations, search those tires. So Mickey Thompson's going to tell you one tire, and who's going to tell you another tire, right? Once you've got the basic tire size type construction, you know what that's going to be, then hit the forums and ask the question, or just search the question. The Hoosier blah 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 any good? And you're going to get 1,000 opinions, and that's how. Don't ask some ding dong like me who's just going to pick a random answer out of the air. Talk to people who actually run those tires, and they'll give you the straight scoop on it.
Shane Fazzino says, how long does Tony think a 7 1/4 rear would last behind a 364 speed?
Oh, not very long at all. The spider gears are the weak link on that. Like a sure grip may last a while, but if it bites, if you get any traction, should no, it's not gonna last very long at all.
Okay. Let's see. Zero says, I love my 318. I always say if you go back in time and order a car, you want the 340, otherwise put a cam and stuff in the 318. Let's see. Nathan's Ballpark Garage. Is there any advantage in advancing the cam in a stock 79 360?
Not really. Advancing the stock cam in a stock 79 360, yeah, 2 degrees will pick you up a little bit of cylinder pressure, and you're not going to really sacrifice anything on the top end. Is it worth it? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. If you've got it all apart, you know what I mean? If you've already got it apart, then yeah, then advancing the cam definitely wouldn't hurt. But it's not worth the tear down and all of that. Probably not.
Doug sent you $2
Thank you, Doug.
with a hey you emoji
Hey, you!
of a dancing like pear. I think it's a pear.
Nice.
With
I like the
sunglasses.
dancing pears. I don't like pears themselves.
What's up, Barry?
Pears are like retarded apples, and I just don't understand them. But
enjoy
I
a
like the
good
pear
pear.
emojis for sure.
Thank you, Doug.
I've always enjoyed the pear emojis.
Uh-huh.
Come to think of it.
Let's see. Ari's here, Tony.
Ari, what's happening, brother?
He asked what he missed.
Everything. Everything.
Yeah, we had some fun. You missed all the fun, Ari.
Yeah. Well, now that Ari's here, we have to tone it down a little bit.
672 E Galaxy says, I saw dancing bears in Maine. Interesting.
How many hits?
I don't know. You missed the mop. Yeah, you missed the mop. Ray's Mopar. Uncle Tony, what state holds the most quarter-mile tracks for the novice racer?
What state has the most quarter-mile tracks? The West Coast is still the West Coast, as far as I know, is pretty much still quarter-mile oriented. Everything else has gone eighth mile. Every place else is the majority of racing. Even, okay, like for instance, you've got series. There's a lot of series running around now, like the Straight Axle Mafia, a few different series that even on quarter-mile tracks they only run eighth mile. It's becoming the norm. It's becoming the norm. Down here in the South, it's absolutely the norm. People don't even talk in terms of quarter-mile ETs. Like I'm like a throwback because I still phrase things in terms of quarter-mile. But if you talk to a local around here, so when we were only here for a couple of years, and I was at a car show, and
Are you telling that story where we were jerks?
oh, what an asshole I
We
was!
were jerks.
Oh my God, I feel
like,
bad. I feel like such an idiot. I feel like such an idiot. So now you got to understand, right? When I walked away from drag racing in like 1998, I'm just done. I'm just done, right? So I that's not entirely true. I worked with a couple fuel cars afterwards, right?
It doesn't matter who.
It doesn't matter, but the point of the matter is, I was like, mentally, I was gone. I was out of it. So we're at a car show not too long after we moved here, and there's a
Like right after we moved here.
yeah, there's a '55 Chevy. There's a '55 Chevy, and it was like a straight axle car, and it had slicks, and it looked like a race car. Like it wasn't a show car. It looked like a race car. It had rubber on the quarters, and it had the usual beat up stuff that you find on a race car. Because you can always tell the difference between like a show car and a race car. Because a race car always has scratches, and nicks, and dings, and dents, and everything all over the place from being handled and used. So it was like, it looked like a real car. So I'm looking at the car, and I'm really admiring it. I love the vibe of the car. And I asked the guy, I said, so what's it run? So he goes, it goes like 680s. And I was like, huh, okay. And they walked away, right?
Like we made faces at him.
Like I made a face at him, okay?
Yeah, like for real. Like we were like, what a jerk.
What a jerk, I'm saying to myself. Okay. It wasn't until like a couple of years later, honestly. It wasn't until a couple of years later that I realized.
No, we realized that night.
Did we?
We did. We were walking away and we're talking and we're going back and forth and we're like, what are people out of their minds? Like we were like saying like bad stuff about him, and then like we're like, but wait.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Eighth
That's
Mile.
right. It's eighth
They
mile.
run Eighth Mile.
They run Eighth Mile.
And then we were like, oh my God, we're the biggest jerks ever.
Yeah. So a guy with
sorry.
a
We're
really cool,
sorry.
50-something Chevy. Like,
And we still had our
yeah,
New
I'm
York
sorry. I
attitude.
really am. I was just a dick. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I just didn't know.
Dee Dee Speech Up says the UTG match race video. UTG was like the other guys that played the Harlem Globetrotters. Oh yeah?
Oh, you mean we were match? Oh yeah. Well, yeah. There was that team that.
What match race video?
I talked about the thing with Jungle and Farm Truck and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I saw them in real life.
you saw what in real life?
Harlem Globetrotters.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was the team that they used to play again?
The Washington.
Right. We were like that team.
What were they called? The Washington somethings. I can't remember. This is a good way to confess your track sins. Clayton's Toolbox sent you 550 Canadian.
Oh, thank you.
Is .030 quench height too tight for
30 thousandths? No, that's loose.
Aftermarket steel rods, forged pistons, aluminum heads under 6,500 RPM.
No, 30 thousandths isn't too tight. You could close that down to like 5 to 8 thousandths, and you're more than safe.
I'm sure somebody's Googling what's the name of the basketball team that the Harlem Globetrotters used to play all the time.
Listen, it was a way to make money. It was a way to go out there. So I was partners with a guy. I'm not going to mention his name, but
the Washington Generals. Thank you, Christina.
So I had a fuel altered, and I was working on a bunch of different cars, but I wanted to have my own. I wanted to be involved. So I teamed up with this guy, and we had this top fuel car. So it was it was rough. It was really rough. It was rough. Really, really, really rough.
It was really, really bad.
It
was really bad.
It was, oh God. But it was.
I advise you never to do it.
But it was an incredibly good learning experience, and we were in there after, like, okay, there was a time when it was regular guys like us, just like me, just like you, okay, and we were running fuel cars, right? There was actually, there was always the up the top echelon. There was a Don Prudhomme and and Mongoose and Garlitz and all these other people, right? Yeah, absolutely, they were at the top of the rung, but they were running at a different level. The pack, the majority of fuel cars that were out there, you go back to the 60s, the 70s, and the early 80s, the very early 80s. The majority of fuel cars were regular guys running these cars. That was the appeal of it to me. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, the flashy stuff and the world record stuff, that's all neat and everything. But I like the fact that it was like regular guys that worked regular jobs, doing regular things, and they had a nitro car. And that was in the 70s. That was the norm, you know, because for every Blue Max and for every you know um, hitter car, for every Billy Meyer, for every one of those cars, there were 100 regular cars. You know what I mean? Like that were run by guys like us,
Families, actually.
families, family operations.
You see pictures of cars like in driveways of people's regular houses.
Yeah,
Like that was the normal thing.
yeah. Or like Vini's Vega. There's a picture of Vini's Vega in in the shop, and in the shop was actually the two-car garage at their house, and there was a washer and dryer in there. And it was just like, you know, and like I raced with Jerry Caminito on and off for years, and he ran his car out of Brooklyn,
Brooklyn.
right? A two-car garage
Yeah.
in Brooklyn, right? It was crazy.
That was crazy.
So
Talk about no room.
yeah, and in New York City had a tradition of nitro racers. Yeah, yeah, I mean, you had Broadway Freddie Denane, you had Red Lang and the Dead End Kids. Oh God, there were just so many of them. So that area actually had a lot. Go B&L Auto, the Bronx, the Brewmaster. There were so many fuel cars that ran out of that area at one time, and by the time I came along, that era had already kind of passed, and it was going from the regular guy nitro racing to the super corporate Bucks nitro racing. So I. I partnered up with him because I realized that the days of being able to just be out there were numbered, right? And the thing you got to remember, the thing you got to understand about fuel cars, right? Racing. Well, actually, okay, I'm using fuel cars because that's what I was involved in. But it's the same thing today in, let's say, like your big tire outlaw type of racing, grudge racing and all. It's the same. It's the same basic thing. It's how much money do you have, because you can you can know everything, and you can build everything exactly the right way. But how many runs can you put on your stuff? So you can set it on kill. You may know how to run, let's say, okay. You can look at a car that's running at the top of the heap, and let's say it's a world record type of car, and you can know how to do everything. You can know every little nut and bolt. You can know the cam that's in there. You can know the blower that's in there. You can know the mags and what all of the different specs are on it. Because all of that stuff, none of that stuff is really a secret. It's all very formulaic. So, like for instance, if you go back to those days, um, it would be easy for me. In fact, I did know. With Dale Armstrong, I knew every single bit, every bit of the bits and pieces that were, let's say, in Armstrong's combination that he was running in Bernstein's car at the time. But you can't duplicate it. And you can't duplicate it because they've got the money to set it that way, because every run they can throw a short block at it. Every run they can throw a crank at it. Every run they can throw whatever it is they need to throw at it, where we can't. Our stuff has to last 10 runs, or our stuff has to last 20 runs. And so you may know how to make, back then in the day, you may know how to make 8,000 horsepower, but your pocket says you can only make 5,000 horsepower. And that's the limiting factor. And that's when I realized nitro racing is just done, because at this point, there are no secrets, there's no magic to it. Now it's just how much money can you throw at it. And it got to the point that when we would roll up there, we had no spares. We go to the track and have a spare piston, right? I mean, like literally, you think I'm joking, right? We would have like a spare piston, and we would have like a baggie full of rod bearings, okay? And like this is how we went racing, and made money with it, okay? But to go out and actually compete, it was literally impossible, because we couldn't throw the money at it to put it on kill every run. Somebody like John Force can just take take a short block and the clutch and everything else and just destroy everything in one pass. We can't do that. Ours has to last, otherwise we're just done. So that was, and I think that's why I partnered up with this guy, because I realized it was the end of little guy top fuel. It wasn't going to happen anymore. So I partnered up with him at that point, just so that I could say, yeah, I did it. I went out there and we went to we covered the whole IHRA tour in 97, I think it was, or 90, I don't know, 96 or 97. And I went out there and I says, at least I could say we ran a series. We tried to qualify for each of these events. We qualified for a couple of them. Actually, we qualified for most of them, but we went around at one. I wanted to be able to say, yeah, at least I did it, because I knew those days were over. It wasn't going to happen anymore. We were the last of the backyard little guy, you know, fuel racers.
John
Boy, I was just
Grunwald.
rambling on, wasn't
Yeah, yes.
I? I'm sorry.
It's okay. John Grunwald sent you $10.
Thank you, John.
Would you win? Wait, which would you win in 2,800 pound cars? 351 Cleveland Boss or 346 pack? I think he means which would you want in 2,800 pound cars?
If I wasn't a Mopar guy, I would instantly grab the Cleveland. I mean, there's no question about it. The Cleveland is the 351 Cleveland is like the high watermark, not only of Ford engines, but of common engines. All right. So in other words, like you have your special engines. Okay, you get your ZL1, and you got your Cammer, and you got your 426 Hemi, and you've got all these special engines, right? But the 351 Cleveland is unique in that it's the high watermark of regular engines. So in other words, like it wasn't a special package. It wasn't rare. It wasn't designed for this. It wasn't exclusive to that. It was something that anybody could, you get a Torino station wagon, you pop it, oh, it's 351 Cleveland, right? So the 351 Cleveland is, in my opinion, the high watermark up until the LS. But we're talking about the classic era. The 351 Cleveland is the high watermark of regular production engines. And nobody can debate that. It just is. But being a Mopar guy, I would go to 346 pack.
New Guys Garage. Say, Kathy, did you ever get my email? I assumed it just got lost in the flood. I am sorry. I will go check emails. It's been a busy week. I will check that. Trying to keep tabs on everything is not easy sometimes. Like I says, high octane greetings from Torrance, California.
I says that too.
You never used to say that when you were in New York.
I didn't.
I think your speech is getting lazy because we live in the South.
Well, I'm slowly deteriorating.
I'm
So
getting
everything
lazy
is
too.
everything is getting lazy.
Let's see. Michael Moreau. Did Jimmy Addison's Silver Bullet have an unfair advantage over the regular street racers?
No, there's a lot of legend about that. There's a lot of there's things get bigger in the telling. He had an advantage in obviously that he had a direct line with the factory, and he had access to the brains at Chrysler. But Addison's car ran, but it didn't own that area at the time. It was a good car. I know in its day it ran a 1060 in street trim, which was really, really stout. That's like having a mid 8-second car today. But I mean, it was a cool car, but not the end all be all.
Okay, UTG. What's the Mopar counterpart? First was the Monte Carlo, then the Montego GT/Gran Torino. But were they inspired by the 70 muscle C bodies, or are there B body counterparts?
To the Monte Carlo, I'm just going to use a Monte Carlo. You said personal. You're talking about a personal luxury car. So you had the Monte Carlo and the Grand Prix were the two big ones, right? And the Olds Toronado. Personal luxury cars, and some of them were performance oriented, like the Monte SS or the Chrysler equivalent to that. No, it had nothing to do with C bodies. The Chrysler equivalent of that would have been the Satellite Sebring Plus,
Cordoba?
the Charger SE.
Charger.
Well, talking about 1970, 71.
Well, I'm reading the comments from people.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Okay, sorry.
The Chrysler equivalent to those cars would have been, like I said, the Satellite Sebring Plus or the GTX, the Charger SEs, and then 75 the Chrysler Cordobas and that incarnation of Dodge Charger and Dodge Magnum. Those would be the Chrysler equivalent of those cars.
We saw a 76 Charger for $10,000 on Facebook Marketplace.
I know what I got.
I know what I got. Don't try and rip me off. I know what I got. Let's see. The Monte Carlo and the Tornado were totally different.
They were different. They were different in execution, but they were the same in spirit. The
Hi,
Tornado was a personal luxury car.
ELQ24 says, hi, Tony. How come no talk about 383s these days?
I mean, I don't have anything really 383 to talk about. We did so much 383 stuff last year, like tons of 383 stuff last year. Right now, I just don't have anything.
You know what we
383
should do? Put brakes in the 73 Roadrunner and move it.
Yes, we will.
We should probably do that.
We will.
He says we will.
One thing at a time. Let me get the Charger back together again.
Yeah, we got to work on the Charger. We've been like ignoring it, right? I have to work on the interior.
Yes.
You have to put the tranny back in.
Yes.
Did you put those parts in the front end?
No.
You didn't finish the front end? Are you going to do a video on that? Because people wanted to see you do that. You are? Okay.
We'll do that.
The 4.0. They're asking about the 4.0 because we haven't done a video on that.
The parts are just laying there, and I haven't. That's something I got to get back on. I have to get back on that. I will probably this week. We'll lay the crank in it.
Okay. Do we need to make a list?
So here's how this works. Content balance, right? I have to take content balance into consideration. So I can't lean too much in one direction like for instance, the bottle rocket thing, right? So we did the race, and then I did a follow-up on it, right? Now there's 100 videos I can do on the specifics of that car concerning the things that happened with that race. But I can't, because then the channel becomes
over the channel, right?
What's that?
It'll take over the channel.
It takes over the channel.
Yeah.
So I need to do a wide variety of things. The 4.0 started to take up too much of the channel. And I needed to so I said, well, let me back off on this and we'll wait a week or so. But then what happens is it kind of falls off to the side, and you work on other things.
Well, you have to prep for the bottle rocket race.
I had to prep for the bottle.
That took a lot of mental,
yes,
dedication. Joe K says you have to perpetually shuffle content. Yeah.
Bingo, exactly, exactly. And that's why things will fall off the radar for a while, and then they come back.
Yeah.
Just because we just got to keep things moving.
Yep. Have you done a history piece in a while?
I have not done a history piece.
Sometimes they'll be like, have you done a tech piece? Have you done a history piece? Just to keep it different.
The biggest videos we get are product comparisons, review types of things.
Yeah.
Like what was that? The C something or other. Seafoam.
Yeah.
The battery stick welder thing. Really, really, really simple how-tos like painting the block. It sounds crazy, but I mean, it got views, and we make money off of that. What else? History pieces always do good. People love this stuff.
How about a video on making your car light?
Oh, we've done that. I will at some point.
I think we need to redo some videos, some older topics that we did in the beginning.
One of the things I want to do with Bottle Rocket is, I'm public about the car's weight. I tell you what the car weighs, right? But I got to show you, at some point, I'm going to have to do a pretty inclusive video. It'll be a long video on all of the things I've done to that car to get rid of weight, because it's intense, right? I mean, like, it's intense. It's not. I didn't just take the insulation out. You know what I mean? It's like that car. Every bit of that car has been touched in one way or another with the idea of reducing weight as much as possible. So I'm going to do something on that, but not for at least a few weeks, because Now that car has to go off to the side. We got to forget that we even own that car, and that thing's just got to sit there, and we have to move on and do other stuff. And motorcycle content. I get a lot of people ask for motorcycle content. I want to do motorcycle
And
content,
then people complain about motorcycle
and then people complain about
content.
motorcycle
So
content.
it's like you don't know what to do sometimes, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's difficult, but you got to go by, like I said, you got to go by the numbers. The last motorcycle video we did, we got 100 and what was it, like 150 something thousand views
Oh
on
yeah?
the Harley Davidson one. So we definitely have more
Well,
motorcycle
yeah,
content
you
coming.
talked about the new Sportster.
Yeah.
That video.
Yeah.
That got a lot of views. But it was topical,
Yes.
timely.
So that's what happens. Things will fall off the radar because we move on to other stuff. Because we run this channel like a magazine.
Thank you, Rob D. He says, love you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. We run this channel like a magazine. When I was doing the magazines back in the 80s and a little bit through the 90s, when you're editing a magazine, you have to come up with a flow sheet. The flow sheet shows all the different types of stories that are going to be in the magazine, and you look to achieve a balance. So you're going to have a personality feature, and you have a tech feature, and you're going to have a how-to, and then you're going to have a car feature, and then you have another tech feature, and then you're going to have a list of some sort because people love lists, right? So you have a balance when you do a magazine. Well, that's how we do this channel. We attempt to do everything within the world of hot rodding and drag racing.
We have to do more useless trivia.
Useless people
People
love useless
the
trivia.
Useless trivia. Yeah. We only did the one. We keep saying we have to do it again, but we haven't. Let's see. I have to sneeze.
Go ahead.
I can't. It's stuck.
And then there's a lot of redundancy too. Like, for instance, the Belvedere over here. Now we're going to use it as a mule, all right? We're going to use it to test different things. But I also have a specific purpose for that car that I haven't mentioned, and I'm not going to mention
it.
until we actually do it. But there is a specific purpose for that car. And while I haven't covered any of it on the channel, like for instance, for that car, I built the engine. I just got done plumbing. I'm not even going to say it, right? But I built the engine, did a lot of system work. I built the transmission. I built the rear end. And I've rounded up a bunch of parts and all of the hardware to put it all together. But all of that stuff is redundant to videos that we've already done. Like, for instance, I did a video on assembling a big block Chrysler. So now I'm going to do another video within like 6 months of assembling a big block Chrysler? No. So we didn't cover it at all. But I ended up building this whole engine that's going to go in that car, and we didn't do anything with it. Same thing with the transmission. I built the transmission for it, but we've already done that. So how many times are we going to do the same thing over and over again? And that's one of the problems I find myself in now, in that I'm working on stuff that's redundant. So I'm spending a lot of hours during the day, a lot of shop time, doing things that I can't cover on the channel for content because we've already covered it for content in the recent past. So that's one of the issues that I'm having right now. It's one of the difficulties, the challenges of doing this channel.
Mopar Pollock says, what happened to the record painting project? I was looking forward to those videos. We're going to start that. I talked to Ron last week about that.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like stuff like that kind of like gets put off on the side. It's weather dependent, you know.
It's Ron dependent.
It's Ron dependent. It's dependent on a lot of things. Schedules all meeting up, you know, and also when is this thing? When can we just park it? We know we're not going to use it.
We're not going to use it for a little bit. Yeah. We're going to start painting the interior first and changing the seat cover.
Well, I've been doing little things to that truck.
Yeah, we're doing little stuff to it at a time.
But again,
we're not filming it.
What's to film? Okay,
right. It's nothing important to film.
Exactly. You know, it's like I spent a whole morning. Right. It has exhaust leaks. So whoever put the motor in that truck, when they put the exhaust manifolds on, they use those gaskets. And you don't use gaskets on the exhaust manifolds of a Chrysler. The exhaust manifold gets bolted directly to the head. Period, the end. There is no gasket there, okay? So the guy who put it together used gaskets. So the gaskets over time all blew out. But the fasteners were rusted solid. So I spent a day getting the bolts out of. I mean, forget about it. It was a disaster. Can't cover it. It's like
Ben
it's not
Compton says
content.
you're overthinking it. I'd watch you watch paint dry.
Yeah, but I won't do that.
I know you won't do it, but I think that like you painting the block, like that wasn't really anything spectacular, but like people wanted to watch that video.
Well, the reason I did that video is because most people will go to the parts store and they'll buy a can of engine paint and they go shh, and then like 3 months, 2 months later, or even after just the first test ride around the block, it looks like shit, and the paint is just peeling off and everything. And so that's why I did that video, because there is value to that, you know. So
Peter Kovac says film everything, edit nothing.
no, I won't do that.
He won't do
I
it.
won't do that.
Like it even bought him stuff like so he could wear like a GoPro if he was working on something, so he wouldn't really have to think about it, you know. But he
I
won't
will
do it.
not be one of those channels that just throws stuff out there for content. If we post something, right, it's going to have value and it's not going to be redundant. You know, there are people who will do the same video over and over and over and over again, and some of them have good success with it. And I'm not knocking anybody, because everybody has their own gig. They have their own thing that they do. We're not one of them. I will not do the same thing over and over and over and over again. I won't feature something unless there's a unique or new twist, or something that's like universal. Um,
UTG body cam footage. He won't wear it.
I won't. No, I won't wear it.
It would be funny though. Even if you just did it for like an afternoon, it would be funny.
It would be boring as hell.
It would probably be boring.
It would be boring as hell.
Not if we set it to music. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Pirate Greg says, you rule, Uncle Tony.
Thank you.
That's nice, Pirate Greg.
I mean, like yesterday, right? I spent probably 3 hours going through fittings, right? I had to plumb nitrous into something, right? So I went through for about 3 hours. I went through a box of fittings, found the right fittings that I wanted to use.
You did that for 3 hours?
Found the right ones that I wanted to use, and then had to. Okay, here's a perfect example. So I had to plumb nitrous onto something. Now, the way I needed to run the lines, I had to make it so that I would be able to reach in and change the jets, be able to get, right? So everything had to be plumbed a certain way. Everything had to be set just a certain way, so I could make quick, easy changes on it, and so that it would be instantly serviceable. So I mounted the plate that I mounted the solenoids on, but then I needed to bend it just a little bit so that I could access the. Yeah, here, this is a perfect example. Okay, so put the plate down, put the spacers down, put the carburetor on it, bolt it all down. Now, can I reach in there and change the jet? Yes. All right, but now what if I put the solenoid on there? So I put the solenoid on there, right? Okay, well now I can't have a line that runs right from the fuel line to the solenoid, because then I can't get my hand in there like this and I can't get a wrench in there. So I had to come up with a line and a set of things that were flexible and went down like this. So then I got the solenoid mounted on the plate, but now I can't access the screw from underneath that holds the solenoid to the plate. So I had to bend the plate up just enough that I'd be able to get a stubby screwdriver underneath in case I had to change the solenoid.
Where's this going? I'm falling asleep.
I'm explaining how things take time.
Oh.
You said like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, it took 3 hours of doing all of this to make it so that the solenoid fits and is serviceable, the line fits and it's serviceable, and everything is all plumbed so that I can take the fuel lines off to jet the carburetor without disturbing this, and so on and so forth. Man, that takes time, but it's not content. It's not content.
J. Russell Finch says, would love a video dedicated to racing etiquette, the do's and don'ts.
Depends on what kind of racing that you're doing,
Yeah.
really.
It's not always the same.
No, because racing is stock eliminator car and,
Yeah.
and street racing. I mean, like totally different.
And as a monologue. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that I just don't cover or can't cover.
Mm. You could cover, you just don't want to cover
I don't want
that.
to because I feel it detracts from the quality of the channel.
Right. Mm. We were talking today about filming you working on things.
Well, we did that today.
Right, but we don't do that often.
No, but there was a purpose to it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a purpose to it.
Right.
Because I didn't want to show, it wasn't that I wanted to show working on the car. I wanted to show the thought process in action.
Right.
I wanted to show the troll. So it wasn't that I wanted to show, it wasn't a tutorial, this is how you do this is how you do that.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of today's video was to show the thought process. So here I have a problem, I have a mystery problem. How am I going to work through this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that's why we shot that the way we did it today.
Right. Quality over quantity, true artiste.
I care, I really do. I
know
care
you
about
care.
what we,
You do care. UTG is the best backyard mechanic.
I try.
Yeah. A video of Tony working.
Watch it today. Watch today's video.
Yeah. Maybe more hands-on videos
It depends.
if you want to.
It depends. It's just, is it valuable? Is it useful?
But we talked today and you told me like you don't want to do how to specifically. Like how to do a specific thing.
So that's another problem that
Yeah.
we run into, right?
Because I told him I like watch a lot of how-to videos and like I want to see how stuff is done sometimes because if it's something new to me, I really need to watch the process of somebody else doing it.
And I agree.
You
So
need to
the
absorb it.
the example she used is that she was working on the sink, the floor under the sink, you know, the bottom of the cabinets had rotted out from a leak. So I fixed the leak. That was all good, but the wood was all destroyed underneath. So
I had to cut the whole thing out.
yeah, so she worked
So there was
on
no floor anymore.
right. So she went on YouTube and she watched a tutorial on how to do that.
On how to make one.
On how to make that, and she was like, why don't you do stuff like that? And here's the difference. There's
No, I didn't say why don't you do stuff like that. I said like there are times I watch videos
yes,
and I need to see the process step by step.
yes,
And then I was like, oh, that's so stupid. Like, why didn't I realize like that's how you do that? You know?
yes.
So, but like I need that when I watch videos.
But what I explained to you, what I said was, there's around the world there are 1 billion sinks,
Yeah.
and they all have cabinets and they all have floors.
And they all leak.
And they all
there's
leak.
a lot of missing floors under cabinets.
Right, and wood is the same everywhere. Wood is
Right.
the same in Cambodia as it is in Virginia. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's wood, right? So
I did a really nice job, by the
it's
way.
easy to do a step-by-step tutorial for that,
Mm-hmm.
and cover and make it universal. It's universal, but there's very few things you could do step-by-step tutorial on a car without getting specific to that car. So in other words, if if today's video was done as a tutorial, well then it would only apply to 1970 318s with BBD carburetors. But instead it was a process video. This is the problem, this is how you find the problem, this is how you go about the problem, and this just happens to be what I'm working on, you know, the type of car that I'm working on. So it's universal. Like you could take today's video and apply it to, I don't know, anything really. You could have a Datsun, you could have a fire truck. It doesn't make any difference. The process that I went through today is the same as you're going to go through in any of those things. But if I had done, well, this is what you do with a flooding BBD, then it only applies to BBDs, and that's why we stay away from tutorials unless they're broad and apply to everything.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. CP says agreed. The challenge of challenges. Will it run is a will it run, don't matter. Let's see. Should make a Christine car? Makes sense. Oh yeah? What's the furthest west? Reno, Nevada or Los Angeles, California? What? It's Charles Manson. Tony, your knowledge is priceless.
Thank you.
Brett McIntyre says, I agree. If it was more specific in the weeds, I would pass.
Yeah, I try not to do anything Mopar specific. And I've said it 1,000 times. We use Mopars because I have Mopars, so we use Mopars for examples. But you'll always hear me talk about, like I did it today. Or I did it today. I was talking about cranking the motor from under the hood. And I'm like, yeah, if it's a Chrysler product, this is what you do. If it's a Ford, this is what you do. If it's GM, this is what you do. Because I wanted to make sure that nobody watching this video is going to say, well, I don't have a 70 Plymouth Satellite with a 318 and a BBD 2-hour carburetor, so it doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that the video we did today applies to everybody.
Right. Mike Paris says Ford 390, Ford 460. Thank you, Uncle Kathy. I guess which one? 390 or 460?
The 460.
Okay.
The 460 is a better motor, in my opinion.
Let's see. I only watch Will It Run videos if I'm super bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. It's
kind of like background video.
If I need to fall asleep watching something, I'll throw a Will It Run video on.
That's not nice.
I'm just telling the truth. I mean, and we've done Will It Runs.
Yeah, but not typical Will It Runs. It's like, oh, will it run? And like you started in 5 minutes and then we're done.
But that's what I do.
Right, I know.
I can't make a show. I'm not gonna make a show out of it. It's just not gonna happen.
Funny. Ari watches Miami Vice to fall asleep. Let's see. Uncle Tony, what's a mixed up 318? What's a mixed up 318? Is that like mixed up boss?
I guess.
Oh. Wait, is you talking about like the 318, like the Vice Grip made? Where did he make? Something...
I don't know what that's about.
I don't know either. I saw somebody sent something to me about it, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I have no idea. This is not financial advice. No. Hello world, Tony. What was tonight's train trivia? Did you have train trivia tonight?
No train trivia tonight.
No. What is a mixed up boss?
That's Andy's motor.
That's Andy's motor, yeah.
That would be in the truck that's back there.
Somebody gave us that picture today. Our friend Ralph, that was at the race, took that video and made us that picture and brought it to us. It's really nice. Okay, Rainy Slant 6 loved the April Fool's Day video, the mower. Let's see. Train trivia, please.
No train trivia tonight.
No train trivia tonight. Mixed up 318. Some Canadian 318 came with 360 heads? Question marks?
No, that's the 1985, the police motor.
Uh-oh, I just blanked out.
I know, I'm blanking out too. This was an active day. We did a lot today.
We woke up super early and started shooting video like right away. No coffee or anything. Could you do that behind the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. He's rolling a cigarette. Avert your cameras, yep. Train question. Why are they falling off the rails so much lately?
Oh, jeez. Don't we go down a rabbit hole? I don't want to do that.
No
rabbit holes tonight.
It's tobacco, yes. It is Bugler tobacco. Danny Boy is offended. Good. When am I starting the garden? I'm working on it. I started buying my plants. I dug everything up. I pulled out all the weeds from the plot. I started to add like chicken poop and eggshells and started to like prepare the soil. So any day now I'll be planting. I just need to grab some more topsoil and mix it up and then we're good to go. Go down the rabbit hole. No.
I'm not going down a rabbit hole tonight.
You guys have the whole of the internet.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Besides us to go down the rabbit hole.
I don't want to talk about Operation Sandman
This is why
or anything like that.
when people click on our channel, it says that we have no videos. Okay? I'm just like telling you right now. Oh my goodness. So many people are saying, hey, I'm unsubscribed to you.
I know.
Or, hey, I follow you and I have to go search for your videos because they never like show up.
Yep.
We're really not very controversial, except like when we're being controversial.
A lot of people get, but it's not just us.
It's not.
It's not just us. A lot of people get unsubscribed to channels. I don't know how that works or
Yeah, I
why,
don't know
but
either. Hexotic Ace sent you $5.
thank you.
I gotta ask, do you have any hydrazine stories? Thanks for what you two do, always entertaining / educational. Thank you.
Do I have any hydrazine stories? No.
She wrote a whole article on hydrazine.
That wasn't me.
That was you.
That wasn't me.
You can Google it. Tony wrote an article on hydrazine.
I did not. Next.
It was on, who'd you write that for?
I don't remember.
Dragazine?
Yeah.
Let's see. Is it on our website?
I don't think so.
We took it down?
I think so.
We had it up.
Probably. Next.
You don't know anything about that, right?
I know nothing about
No. You can't tell me stories about that. This is not hydrazine advice. Maybe you should tell people what hydrazine is so that they don't think it's like something really awful.
It's a thing. It's just a thing.
We have stories we can never tell.
There are things I keep. There are things I want to keep in my to myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. Tetrahydrozoline. Let's see. How about a fictional story on an Oldsmobile? Still with the Oldsmobile.
People have incredible memories.
Yeah, they do. Let's see. Adam Yates. Can I ask Uncle Tony, how do you tell if you have a broken torsion bar or just a bad bushing?
Oh, but you can't miss a broken torsion bar because they explode, boof, and then the car is just sitting on the ground. So yeah, if your torsion bar is bad, you know it. If it's worn out, see, they do rarely happens, but they do wear out, and you could tell that it's worn out because it won't be straight anymore. It'll have a bow to it. Right, so if you look at your torsion bars, you get under the front of the car, and you look at your torsion bars, and they're not dead straight, but they have like a bow to them. That means that they're worn out. But that's rare. That is really rare.
Tom Fry says you've made my night.
Nice.
Okay. Awesome, Tom.
And I didn't have to take my shirt off.
No. Girls. Let's see. Beagle alert. Yes. Corvair's rule.
I love Corvairs.
What did we see today? A 280Z?
Just the back part of it.
Back.
Yeah.
But it was like.
It wasn't a 280, it was a 240.
Was it a 240?
Yeah.
It had like no paint on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a rat. It was cool. Let's see. What? They're laughing. Everybody's laughing. New Guy's Garage says, what's your opinion on the torque chain? Chain down the one side of engine to help the rubber mounts? Laugh out loud.
I use that. I've actually got that on Bottle
I'm going
Rocket.
to get Maggie inside.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. You talk. Come
Okay.
on, girls.
I actually use that on Bottle Rocket. I use a chain instead of a solid mount. So I could use a solid mount. And the solid mount is lighter. But the solid mount is pulling directly on the side of the block. It'll distort the block. And one of the things with small block Mopar specifically, and actually there's a lot of engines. Engines that only have 4 bolts around each cylinder, the bottom part of the block is not very well supported. So it'll distort. It'll pull, the bottom of the block will pull away and cause head gasket issues. So, for instance, on Bottle Rocket now, instead of using a solid mount, which is lighter, I use the rubber mount and I use a chain that's bolted and welded to the very front of the block. When I say it's bolted and welded, I mean that it's bolted to it's welded to the top part of the motor mount, the front facing ear, and it's welded to the K. So that what happens is instead of the mount pulling against the whole side of the block, the rubber gives some give to that side of the block, so it's not pulling directly on the block. But the chain is a limiter, and that limits from the very front of the block, where I don't have to worry about distortion.
You have that on Bottle Rocket?
That's on Battle Rocket, yes.
Wow, nice. Laugh out loud. Let's see.
But it has to be done strategically. It just sticking a chain on there isn't the only answer. You have to put the chain in it. You have to attach the chain in such a way that it's not directly pulling against part of the side of the block.
Let's see. Hoobie's Garage says, I broke the torsion bars in my VW Bug, broke on a highway, and went into the desert.
Yeah, you took a ride.
Oh, need a junkyard save series. We don't have a lot of junkyards near us.
We don't.
There's that one junkyard in Fayetteville.
I don't even want to talk about that.
They have a lot of stuff there.
I don't even want to talk about that.
But we can't go there.
Well, I'm sure he's dead by now.
Well, he might be, but
I don't even want to talk about that.
let's not talk about it. I bet you all that stuff is gone.
Probably. It's been 15 years.
Since we were there?
Yeah.
Let's see. Race Mopar. What did Chrysler do in the rear fold-down seat of the Dusters to reinforce them?
You know, I don't know. I've never dissected one of those cars, one of the fold-down rear seat Dusters. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Jesse Paratus. Why Mopar over GM? That's a deep question.
That's a really deep question. Design language. I just prefer the Chrysler design language. And that goes way back. I don't know. I was born Mopar, if that makes any sense. Not that I have Mopar people in my family or anything like that.
But didn't your grandfather have a Charger?
Yeah, my grandfather had a 71 Charger. I actually had a 67 Coronet before that.
Okay.
But that wasn't an influence to me. I was
My
already
family
a
had that
Mopar
too.
guy independently of that. Mopar kid. I was a Mopar baby.
Mopar baby.
You know, so I don't know. I was born with what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just always been Mopar, but I stuck with it as I got older and I learned more about cars because I identified with the design language that the engineers were using in that period of time.
That's interesting, Tony.
Yes.
You're an interesting fellow.
I try to be.
You try and be
Yes,
interesting?
I make up things that are interesting.
Yeah?
Yes.
Raining Slant 6, I don't know why your comment is cut off. Okay. They had a similar deal with 64, 66 Barracudas with fold-down rear seats. I had to actually click on it to be able to read his
That
full
is a
comment.
pretty elaborate deal. On the Barracudas, the first gen Barracudas, that is a very elaborate bulkhead installation. If you've ever cut one of those cars apart, the back of those things are intense. I think they overdid it. And I think they had to overdo it because of that piece of glass that they put in there. I think that glass was just, like, you couldn't have any movement at all in the back of that unibody, or the glass was going to be a goner. And so the back of those cars are like way overbuilt.
Let's see. I can't read his whole name. Chevy something. If I click on it, it doesn't show me his name. Sent you $10 and a thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I can't read your whole name. For some reason, it's not coming up on the computer. It's like Chevy with an M and then ... It's very strange why that's happening. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chevy Man. It's Chevy
Chevy
Man
Man.
$69.99. I figured it was Chevy Man. I didn't want to say it though if it wasn't. That made the most sense.
What do they say? I mean, I'm a Mopar guy, but I have worked on everything. You know, I have experience with really everything. Not every specific make and model, obviously, right?
I should become a Chevy or a Ford person and just start battling you.
But you could go to war.
We could go to war with each other, and we'd get tons and tons of views,
Yes,
and we could just fight all the time
with
about.
flamethrowers.
Yes, we
Yes,
could shoot flames at each other, and throw. I can throw Ford carburetors at you, and you can throw Mopar carbs at me.
sure, we could do that.
We could do that. That would be fun.
I
We
was a
sh-
Ford guy for
you were
a
a
year.
Ford guy. I think I would be a Chevy person though if I had to be something else.
I would be a Buick.
Would you?
I would be a Buick person.
Let's see. I'm more an individual car guy than a manufacturer guy. Yeah.
Well, you know, for me, it's kind of an economy of scale. Like if I had a variety, there's a lot of cars I would like to have, right? But they're so far out of the, like, I I have as many cars as I do because they have commonality to them. Now I started to change that a little bit with the Jeeps. I started adding the XJs, but only because the XJs are so common. The parts are so cheap. The parts are so common. Very simple, very easy to work on. So I expanded into the XJs, right? But I've always stuck with the Mopars because if you have three cars and let's say one is a Ford, one is a Chrysler, one is a Chevy or a GM product, well, they all take completely different types of parts. They all take, so it's like, and even sourcing the parts, you know what I mean? It's like if you stick with one brand, then I know exactly where I can get these parts. I know exactly what parts it's going to need. I know exactly I can anticipate the costs of doing something or the time involved in doing something because I'm familiar with it and I do it over and over again. But if you do a bunch of different types of cars, well, that every time you add something different, it's square roots, like the things that you need to know and be aware of and remember and hunt down. It's like it makes it really difficult. So for me, I own Chrysler products and I work with Chrysler products, but I'm open to everything.
Dr. Bob's Nightmare says Lotta.
Lotta, Lotta.
The deal for real says Pontiac baby. Dickie Farley says my comments are disappearing. Can anybody see them? Yes. You can see me as being a Chevy person. Let's see.
If I had to own a Chevy, I'm torn between a 55. I'm not 56s. I'm so about. I really don't like 57s.
I don't like those at all.
No, I don't like the 57s. I love the 55s though.
Dude.
Right?
The only Chevy I really like is the Monte Carlo.
The SS.
The SS.
Those are nice.
Mm-hmm.
We had
Yeah.
a couple of them.
Only because I drove it every day for a few years.
But I would have to flip a coin between a 55 or a bubble top.
Bubble top.
I love those bubble tops. Oh my God,
You're
they're so
funny.
beautiful. General Motors just knocked it right out of the park with that.
Jackson Kersey sent you $9.99.
Thank you.
Y'all help me keep my factory built 167,000 nailhead powered 64 Wildcat daily driven
Nice.
for the past year. I wanted to hear your take on generalizations for 70s/80s New York street racer personalities by make.
Street racer personalities by make.
Hmm.
So are you talking about like stoplight to stoplight street racers, or are you talking about like Levi Holmes from Brooklyn Heavy? Because by make, that's a tough question. It's kind of an impossible question to answer. There weren't any Ford guys. There weren't any Ford guys.
No.
No. Like they'd pop up occasionally, but most of them stuck with Chevys. handful of Mopars. There was like, and a handful of Pontiacs. There were like as many Pontiacs as there were Mopars as there were like, and you had a few people that were into like the Brand X stuff, like Oldsmobiles and shit like that. But no real contenders. Mm, the street races that are almost exclusively big block Chevy. A lot of big block Chevy stuff out there in New York.
I think that too is like one of the reasons, Mopars were just like so hated. They were really like reviled in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like got laughed at a lot.
There was a lot of Mopar hate
There's
out there.
a lot of Mopar hate.
A lot of Mopar hate.
Like you were really like just a dirtbag.
You were,
if you had
yeah.
a Mopar.
If you were a Mopar guy, you were
Which
a
is
dirtbag.
like, when they started getting like really popular, I was like, are you guys serious? Like, are you guys really like serious? Like, because to really like be a Mopar person when we were in New York, it was like you were a piece of crap, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just funny how everything's kind of turned around. Mopa's got no respect. No, right. Peter Kovac says, yeah. You have to have like a lot of intestinal fortitude to drive around in some of that stuff, because you know that everybody was like laughing at you.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. Mopars didn't really become popular until the 80s. If you go back to the 70s, like they were halfway popular when they were new, like the classic era cars. They were halfway popular when they were new, and then once you got into like the 70s and the 80s, or the very early 80s, no, there was no Mopar respect out there. Nobody, it was tough. But I think part of it was jealousy. Because we had it easy. Like if you want, like if you wanted to build a big block Ford or you wanted to build a big block Chevy, okay, you actually had to put effort into that, right? You actually had to go find those engines and put those combinations together. But for a Mopar guy, it was like you go get a 440, and out of a junkyard, you're gonna pay $50 for it. I remember like extravagant, like $50 for a motor. Are you insane? You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm not making that up. I mean, that's the way it was. And then you just go pick up. You go to any junkyard and you go buy a Belvedere for $75 or $100. And that's it, man. You spend an afternoon putting it together, and you got a big block intermediate. And I think part of the Mopar hatred was like a little bit of jealousy of how easy it was for us to build, formidable cars.
Two Hack says around here, everyone had Mustangs or Camaros. If you had a Mopar, you were the outsider, but they didn't want to race you. He's laughing emoji. I don't know. It's like being on the fringe. I guess that always continues to an extent, right?
Yeah. Well, if you go back to like the Fountain Avenue days, like with the GTX and all, we were the only Mopar out there.
There was the guy with the black
Charger. Yeah. You fool you.
You fool you, right?
Yeah, that was a fast car. And then Drunk Mike had that Duster we were just talking about.
Right. And what did Charlie had? A Duster.
Charlie had a Duster, 440 Duster.
Eddie didn't have anything.
Eddie still has the same
still
car.
Building his car.
He's still putting it together. We have a friend. So we have a friend that when I was 16 and he was 16, we were both building our cars, our first cars, and I built my first car, and then I've been to like 1,000 since then, and he's still putting the first one together. I just shit you not. Okay, he's still building that first car.
Let's see. Bulldog Garage merch sent you $5.
Thank you.
Fan clutch or no fan clutch? Your thoughts? Big block Mopar.
Yeah, fan clutch. Definitely fan clutch.
The never-ending project, yeah. Cuda is the best-looking car.
No, this is like 45 years later, and it still hasn't turned an inch under its own power.
Eddie's car.
Yeah.
We shouldn't laugh. He knows a lot about racing. He knows a lot about drag racing and trivia, and like he's very.
It's been through like 3 paint jobs.
Well-rounded. He's painted it 3 times.
Yeah. it's had the bodywork and the paint on at least 3 times in the last 45 years, but it still hasn't moved an inch under its own power.
Let's see. Um, Nicholas B says, I visited Englishtown for the first time this week for the swap meet. Looks like it was an awesome facility in its day.
Englishtown, so Englishtown has went downhill. So Englishtown in the 70s, right? Englishtown in the 70s was the best there ever. I mean, Englishtown in the 1970s was the place. Okay, and that was back when it had the little tower and the wooden bleachers and before the wall and all of that. And that place just had the most incredible vibe. It was incredible, right? And then little by little, it started to become less and less and less of what it was. You know, first they put up the wall, then they put up they moved the tower to the other side, and they put up the bigger tower, and then they put up the giant thing over there, and then the walls, and just every step of the way, Englishtown was less and less and less and less and less of what Englishtown, was. So in my, like, just from my personal opinion, like when it went out of business or when it stopped being a drag strip, it was kind of like, it was almost like a mercy killing, you know what I mean? Because it's like, it just was not what it was, it wasn't what it was.
C. Roma says, Eddie still hasn't finished the car yet?
No, Charlie, Eddie still has not finished his car.
I shouldn't laugh. Let's help Eddie, Charlie says.
I tried. The last time I was up in New York
I saw he brought to the house a 67 GTX.
I don't know.
Yeah,
the last time I was in New York was about 10 years ago, right? And I was with Eddie, and I says, Eddie, I'll take the car back to Tennessee. I'll put it together for you, and it'll be done. He was like, no, you don't want to do it. I offered.
You did?
Yes.
That was nice of you. Let's see. It's like 9:26.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
We're going for 2.5 hours already?
Yeah. Well, we started a few minutes late, but
We'll go for a little while longer.
a few minutes. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that he brought a 67 GTX home.
Yeah, but he doesn't do anything with them.
I don't know. I guess he had that in another storage facility. And he made room in his garage and he brought that one to the house.
I have no idea what
I don't know. He has cars everywhere. Let's see. Is it a sin to use Mopar parts on a Chevy?
Yeah.
No?
No, but not the other way around.
Peter Kovac says, love Sunday nights. Sorry, Kathy. No, it's good that you love it.
I like these Sunday nights too. I like hanging out with you guys.
They're fun. It's past my bedtime. Yes, Harriet Daisy. You're getting there.
Charlie, 40 years ago, could you imagine this happening right now? Is there any way you can see that?
As I was preparing to set this up,
Yeah.
and I was in the kitchen and I was getting coffee and everything, I thought to myself, I was like, if I went back in time and I pictured this, like, what would I think? Like, would this even be a viable thing that we're going to do right now? We're going to sit down in the backyard and talk to like 500 people. How bizarre.
Well, I'm asking Charlie though, if he could have imagined this 40 friggin' years ago.
Probably not. But it's just funny that you said that because I just had that thought. I like this guy, Eddie. How do you feel about square body trucks?
I'm not a truck guy. I like them. I appreciate them. I have no desire to own one. I've worked on a lot of them. I mean, I like them. I'm just not a truck guy.
C. Roma says, nope, never.
Never, right?
Us neither, Charlie.
Charlie, we're old now, man.
Yep.
You've got to be 60. Because I'm going to be 61 next month, so you've got to be 60.
Oh my goodness.
It's just incredible how the time flies.
But you're always the same person inside.
I don't think I've changed. Charlie, have I changed? Charlie's known me since I was a teenager.
Let's see. A teenager?
Yeah.
When did you meet Charlie?
Like when I was like 19.
You did?
Yeah.
You knew him before me?
Yeah. I think so.
I thought you knew them. How did you meet Charlie?
He'd remember. I don't remember. Much brain trauma between then and
Much
now.
brain trauma. uh, Gearhead Ted says, "Hiya, Tony from Deer Park, Washington. Just turned 61 here.
Nice.
Congratulations." Peter Kovacs, I'll be 61 next month too. Still feel 17. Yep.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, Cold War Motors got his hat and T-shirt now. That
Awesome.
took forever. Oh my goodness, Canada.
Well, it's Canadistan.
Well, thank goodness you got it.
It had to be inspected.
And thank you for your mugs. They are
Yes,
awesome.
thank you.
I have to hide them from the kids though, because they can read now. Let's see. Charlie says, I have an 81 Dodge D150 340 6-pack 4-speed, almost 60 after Kathy. What do you mean? Almost 60 after Kathy?
Oh, we met him after you.
Oh, okay.
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 Charlie, send pictures of that truck to Kathy.
Yeah.
Do you still live on Staten Island?
You could race Charlie.
Try to race Charlie.
You could race Charlie. I still... So who else did we hang out with then?
Well, the Antonises.
Antonis, Paul, yeah. He had a Mopar.
Yeah, he had a bunch of Mopars.
Yeah. He lives in upstate New York, he says.
And he would beat me.
Everybody moves upstate New York.
Paul Antonis. I tell you, I was pretty sharp. I was pretty good, right? But Paul would beat me more often than like I would want to ever admit to him. Paul was good. Paul was good. He was low key.
He was always smart.
Yeah, Paul was really smart.
Mm-hmm.
There was a kid, Chris Kushmick.
Oh, please.
Who was that guy? Larry Gregg.
Oh my goodness. Larry Gregg.
Who else was there? Why can't I think of his name? He had that cougar.
Oh.
You know
Tommy
what I'm talking
Mickle.
about. Tommy Mickle,
Yeah.
right? Oh, there were so many people.
Yeah. There were a lot of people. People would come in and out though. It was never like, and Neil was always around.
Neil was always around. You know who I really miss?
Who?
Irv Goldberg.
Yeah, Irv had a car.
Irv, that 340, he had a 69 340 4-speed Swinger. Mm-hmm. That car was just awesome. That thing was freaking awesome. And one of the best nights, you know how you have like certain nights that you'll always remember. It's just like, it's like it was this morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was one night I was out. I had my 72 Roadrunner. It was 340. It was a 400 4-speed car. It was a high 12-second car. And it was one night I was out just looking for trouble. It was like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on Staten Island, Highland Boulevard, and I'm just out looking for trouble, looking to race anything I can get anything that'll pull alongside me. And Irv pulls up alongside me, right? Out of all the people, I'm like, ha, right? And we took it off, excuse my French, sorry about that. We took it off the light, and it was like just a dead heat, okay? Like neither of us can gain on either. And this was like, so we went stoplight to stoplight, probably 10 times, and neither of us could get out on the other one. We both had tire spin. It was both 4-speed cars.
Kicked me out of the car. I was extra weight.
Oh, you were in the car?
I was always in the car.
It probably should. Do you remember this?
Yes, I was always in the car. There was never a time I wasn't in the car.
Oh, there were lots of times you weren't in the car?
Well, after I had
you had kids and everything, right. But there were lots of nights that we went out without you.
Well, not when you had the 72.
Not when I had the 72, no.
I was always there.
And but we raced like all night long, just like every place we could race, every way that we could race, and I mean we just went back and forth, and neither of us, those cars were so totally perfectly matched. We were perfectly matched as drivers, and those cars were perfectly matched as far as performance goes, and perfectly limited as far as traction goes. And no matter what, neither of us could get a clear win over the other.
Dada Le Breton says, Canadistan, you're funny the way you love us. Is it the snow or the pizza you miss?
Snowy pizza.
Snowy
I miss,
pizza.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the way the snow used to pile up on top of the pizza.
Let's see. So is Bottle Rocket retired now? What's next?
No, not at all. Uh, Nothing is retired. Everything is in play. But not for that. You won't see anything with Bottle Rocket for a while. Probably couple of few weeks, maybe a month or two before we do anything else with that car. I want to get back on Plan Z. That was the original intent was to start out with Plan Z for this year, and I still haven't touched it. It's just sitting there. So
You're only one person.
yeah. So Plan Z definitely soon, and Slaghammer. I got to get the converter in Slaghammer and take that thing back out. So before we do anything, this whole Bottle Rocket again, it'll be Plan Z and then Slaghammer, then Bottle Rocket.
Okay. Let's see. If Mop Guy mops Bottle Rocket races.
That's I won't. I will not pull that car to a starting line without Mop Guy.
Mm.
It's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, now he's your like good luck charm.
Yeah.
Mop Guy. If Mop Guy's not there, you don't race.
He's not in this picture, that's bothering me a little bit.
Yeah, well, we'll have to put him on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Let's see, it's hard to have fun like that nowadays. It is hard to have fun. I'm back. Did you mix? Yes, Mexican Spec. We missed you very much. Any plans for attending Holly Mo party this year?
Um. If okay, I have a plan for that. I actually have a plan for that specific thing, but I'm not going to talk about it until we're there. Until we're actually if so. But we won't be setting up a booth or anything like that.
No. Mm. Rob Storty says we raced on Highland Boulevard. Almost every light from Tottenville High School to Midland Beach.
Yep, that's right.
You go to the end of the boulevard and turn around and go back the other way. You go to the end and turn around and go back the other way.
Racing off of every friggin' light.
All night.
All night long. All night.
I remember coming home. Remember, like, sometimes, like, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, the sun would...
The sun would be coming up.
There'd be people going to work.
Right.
You know? We'd still be racing.
Can't really explain that to anybody.
You can't.
You
can't.
have to be there.
And that was 7 nights a week. The only way we wouldn't be out there racing was if it was raining. You know what I mean? Or like a snowstorm.
What would we do if it was raining?
What would we do? I don't remember.
We were driving around.
Oh yeah, we just roll around.
We just
look
drive
for cars.
around. Look for cars, yeah. Yeah.
We did a lot of car hunting.
We would drive them in the snow.
Well, we drive them everywhere all the
Remember
time.
that 6-pack Charger we were driving in the snow up Snake Hill, and there was a big hole in the floor on the passenger side, and the slush just kept blowing into the car on my feet. And I was like, okay, let's go.
I remember
It's
that.
normal.
That was a 4-speed Charger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it was... Highland Boulevard was that was amazing. And you know, we used to race like right past the 122. Like nobody cared.
For the most part, no. Only on Fountain Avenue they cared. On Staten Island, they didn't really care that
Nobody
much.
bothered us. We had to be careful in Tottenville. The cops at the 123 would hang out at the end of Highland Boulevard. So, and they were sneaky. So you had to be careful if you're going to race down in Tottenville or any place where the 123 was. But the 122, they were cool. They just didn't bother us.
Flintstone Mobile Classic, yeah. It's crazy. It's like how rotted those cars were, and they weren't even that old.
That's that car that I put the hole in my hand with the shifter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was racing Antonis.
The 68, right?
The 68.
Yeah,
I was racing
68.
Paul. We were racing on what was that highway that came off of the Bayonne Bridge?
Oh, I don't know. I'm so bad like that. I'm bad at remembering names.
You pull onto the on ramp, and then it was just wide, flat, straight, and you had a quarter mile there.
Yeah.
And then enough room to slow down. So Paul and I pulled up there. There was no traffic coming. We lined up. We let it go. I power shifted second. Yeah, I power shifted second, and then I went for third. And when I went for third, the clutch exploded, and it like everything came like through the floor, and like just when I tell you when I tell you the clutch exploded on this car, I mean literally when I got out to look at the damage, I had it. The shifter kicked back so hard that it put a hole in the palm of my hand. Okay.
Because you had the one that you.
Yeah, it was one
It
of
was
them
inland, yeah.
inland things, and the shifter put a hole in the palm of my hand. And when I like I didn't realize what had happened, like because it was violent, and like my bell was rung a little bit, and I pulled over on the side of the road, and I was trying to figure what happened here, because the bottom of the dash was all blown up and stuff like that. And I looked under the car, and the motor's like this, and the transmission's like this, and there's nothing in the middle. And so Paul seen what happened, right? Because I was ahead of him, right? So he pulls over and he backs up, and he came up to me, and we're looking around what's going on, and we hear a dragging sound coming down the road, and there was a car coming, and as it would come down the highway, and as it passed us, my clutch linkage,
What under that car?
the Z bar. The Z bar and the fork, that whole assembly, right, was dragging on the bottom of their car, making sparks as it went past.
That's very sad. That's a sad story.
It blew up so freaking hard that it took the input shaft and the front bearing retainer off of the transmission.
Olive says no knob on the shifter. No, it was an inland.
It was an inland shifter.
So
it had
explain.
The inland shifter
so
has a reverse lockout,
yeah.
right? So to put it in reverse, you have to pull up on these two knobs.
Yeah.
So when I power shifted third, right, I shoved the shifter, so you pull like this. When you go for third, you go like this, okay? And it was a short linkage. I re-drilled the holes in the linkage so it didn't have that crazy big long throw. There were ways you could actually make an inland shifter work very well. So I did all of the tricks to the inland shifter, and it was good. But when I shoved it forward into third and let off the clutch, is when it exploded. It kicked the shifter backwards, and there's the thing that you pull up with your fingers,
levers.
To get the levers. Well, one of them went poof, and it poked a hole in the palm of my hand.
D-Truth says, everybody's laughing, but D-Truth says, Tony, that Roadrunner you fixed, why was the timing so advanced? Could it have jumped a tooth?
No, I think when he dropped the distributor in, what I think probably happened, because he put he tried all different distributors. The trunk has distributors in it, right? So he tried all different distributors, and I think what happened was it started with a carburetor problem, and he didn't know it was a carburetor problem. So he kept changing distributors. He thought it was an ignition problem. And I think at some point what happened was when he picked up the distributor, I bet you the oil pump drive shaft stuck to it and then dropped back down. And when it dropped back down, it dropped in a tooth off. So when he dropped the distributor back in, it was to that. I'm only speculating, but I think that's the most likely scenario.
The Deal for Real says, I love these war stories. I sheared the lugs off my right rear one time and spun, saw the tire roll down the road right by me like the cartoons.
I did that in a 66 Belvedere in Franklin. I lost one of the back tires and did a 360 and then ended up in a... That'll get your attention when that happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think Ari probably has to go on, and we're taking we're cutting into Ari's after the Tony.
We're cutting into the after the Tony show. So guys, that's it. Let's call it a night.
I'll check the emails.
Yes, she'll check emails for all various things. Charlie, send me pictures of that truck. Okay, everybody contributed Super Chat. Thank you so much.
We
Greatly
really
appreciate it. All of this stuff just eats cash, and thank you. Everybody contributed just with your presence and your conversation. being part of our community, thank you equally. We really appreciate all of you. Our amazing mods, Fubar, Ari, Zero, thank you as always. And so if you guys are hanging out, you want to keep hanging out, you go to Ari's channel, Ari DeBernia. He does a show every Sunday night called After the Tony. So he's going to do his thing now. And man, it's been a long day.
It's been very long.
It's been a really long day.
I'm glad that we were like still a little up to do this.
Well, I'm running out of steam right
You're
now.
running out of steam.
I'm
now.
out of steam.
Me too.
All right. So
Thank
I'm
you
just
for hanging
remembering
out with us,
that when that
everybody.
clutch come apart, that was crazy.
We really appreciate it. We appreciate all of you.
Yes, thank you. And that's it. So we'll do stuff during the week, and we'll see you next Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna do because Kiwi was supposed to be with us tonight. He's under the weather, so I think I may do like a midweek live with him. Let me see what happens with that. Maybe we'll do something Wednesday or Thursday night. So, guys, thank you again, and everybody, good night. Don't get killed out there.
Good night, everyone.